That's crazy. My bad. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to today's presentation. I'm JayDreamerZ, and sorry about the audio. That's my bad. We're doing a study on eschatology today. We're going to go in depth on the study of the end of the world, the reset, the apocalypse, and we're going to take a look at it from different perspectives and different viewpoints, especially different religious views. And I'm going to comment on all of them and share my insights there. But before we do, as I was saying, when I type in my name, JayDreamerZ, this comes up. My channel doesn't really show up. It's way down here underneath, like buried underneath some of my older videos and maybe even less popular videos. But the live stream itself doesn't even show up. It's not even here. So I'm just wondering if you guys could help me out and do a quick search yourself for JayDreamerZ and tell me if it's showing up on your side on the recommended videos or whatnot. Sunshine, hey, thank you. Well, that was a ray of sunshine in my life. I appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, I'm just wondering if you guys could share with me, let me know if you're getting notifications, if, if it's showing up or whatnot. This has been happening the last couple of weeks and it's actually starting to concern me. So let me know on your end if you're having any issues finding my videos or my live streams. And that would be very helpful. Thank you so much, Sunshine. You received my books. Thank you. God bless. You're my favorite subject. Well, that was very kind of you. Thank you. All right, cool. I'm gonna pop out the chat real quick. That way I can keep you guys' comments in mind as we go over these things here. And then we're going to jump right into eschatology right now. All right, cool. Let me just scooch this over a bit. All right, sweet. So we're going to do an in-depth look on eschatology. This is eschatology right here. It's the study of the end of things, or the end of the world, basically. Now, for me personally, the end of the world is cyclical. It happens time and time again. That's why many people throughout ancient history have predicted the end of the world. And I believe, that it has happened many times over. So that's my personal view on these things, is that the end of the world is cyclical. It's not the end of the world as in the earth explodes or a giant comet smashes into it and just destroys and obliterates everything, but it's a resetting of humanity. It's a cataclysmic event that happens cyclically, and it resets our entire civilization. It destroys the infrastructure. It destroys the modern world. Everything is lost. People forget everything. There's worldwide amnesia. And nobody typically remembers the end of the world. Let's see. We got Make America Guitar Again says no live stream at the moment when I search. Man. C3PO's Golden Calf. Hey, you've been putting out some sweet videos lately. I really enjoy all your little movie clips that you're putting together to show some of these truths that we've been talking about and stuff. Well done. Let's see. What's up, Red Storm? Good to see you. Susie G loves Jesus. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe they're not promoting my channel. I hope that's not the case, but that's all right. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into eschatology. I'm pulling up the Wikipedia article just to use as a reference here so that we can discuss all these different things. So let's kick things off with eschatology. It says, from ancient Greek, eschatos, which means last. And then logi or logi means to study. So the study of things that are last, the end of time, the end of age, the end of the present age, the end of the present cycle that we're going through. Some people say the end of the world. I like REM's version better, the end of the world as we know it. As we're familiar with this world, it's going to change and has changed many different times. Most popular, would be Christianity, the Christian eschatological view, Judaism, Islam. We'll talk about all those as well as some others as well. Teachings that, which teach that negative world events will reach a climax. Belief that the end of the world is imminent is known as apocalypticism. Me, I'm an apocalyptimist. Over time, it's been held both by members of mainstream religions and by doomsday cults. Doomsday cults, that's every religion. Every single one of them is a doomsday cult because they all have an eschatological view embedded somewhere throughout their history, usually throughout the entire belief system. It's just that in the modern world, the people who are the leaders and the teachers of these religions have shunned the topic for the most part, from my perspective. They dismiss it, they flow over it, they don't really, teach eschatology anymore, so it's seen as taboo. It's not seen as something normal and a part of normal life, which I believe it used to be. Rocky Shepherd says, Jay, are you a Christian? I was just asked that over on another channel that I was just checking out. My question for you would be, do you recognize Christ in me without me having to admit it? That's my question back to you. Now, in the context of mysticism, the term refers metaphorically to the end of ordinary reality and to the reunion with the divine. Many religions treat eschatology as a future event prophesied in sacred text or in folklore, while other religions may have concepts of renewal or transformation over significant events. The explicit description of a new earth is primarily found in Christian teachings. It's also found all throughout the other teachings too, but it's the most popular one within Christianity, especially within the Book of Revelation. But oftentimes these popular articles, like on Wikipedia, they don't really make the connections to the many different times that the day of the Lord or Judgment Day or the end of all things is referenced all throughout the Bible, specifically and especially in the Old Testament. It's full of warnings that the prophets gave to the people. As a matter of fact, in my personal view, every single one of the Nevi'im, or the books of the prophets, that's all they were talking about. That's the main thing they were all talking about. They were warning all of the people, hey, look around at the times that you live in. Recognize the signs. Recognize the omens. You people are lost and upside down and twisted and perverted and evil, and judgment is coming. The earth is going to wash it all away and cleanse it through water sometimes and through fire other times. All right, cool. Let's see. The Abrahamic religions. When it says Abrahamic, it's referring to the one of the founding fathers of Judaism, Christianity, etc., which was Abraham. The Abrahamic religions maintain a linear cosmology. That specifically means one that's not cyclical, right? It's got a beginning and it's got an end, and that's it. And that's where I differ. I believe that these things are cyclical. The Abrahamic religions maintain a linear cosmology with end-time scenarios containing themes of transformation and redemption. In Judaism, the term end of days makes reference to the Messianic age and includes an ingathering of exiled Jewish diaspora. This word right here, diaspora, just means dispersal, right? It's a dispersal of people. The coming of the Messiah, the resurrection of the righteous, and the world to come. The world to come indicates to me cyclical, right? If it's just the end and that's it, then everything should just disappear and that's it. Christianity depicts the end time as a period of tribulation that precedes the second coming of Christ, who will face the rise of the Antichrist along with his power structure and false prophets, and usher in the kingdom of God. In later traditions of Islam, separate hadiths detail the day of judgment is preceded by the appearance of the Masih al-Dajjal and followed by the descending of Isa, or the coming down of Isa or Jesus, which they also believe in, which shall triumph over the false Messiah or the Antichrist. His defeat will lead to a sequence of events that will end with the sun rising from the west and the beginning of Judgment Day. The sun rising from the west is the opposite, which to me indicates a polarity reversal or a polarity shift. All right, let's see. Trying to keep my eyes on the chat too. All right, let's see. Dharmic religions. Dharmic religions tend to have more cyclical worldviews. Let's see what it says about Dharmic religions. That says Indian religions, sometimes also termed Dharmic religions or Indic religions, are religions that oriented in the Indian subcontinent. This includes Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism, Sikhism, etc. So these types of religions tend to have more of a cyclical worldview, with end-time eschatologies that are characterized by decay. Ask yourself, do we look around and see these things happening in the world today? Characterized by decay, a breaking down of all things, right? Within Christianity, this is called sin or a sinful condition. Redemption, that means being redeemed, or that sinful condition, that decay being fixed. And rebirth, a brand new life. Though some believe transitions between cycles are relatively uneventful. In Hinduism, the end time occurs when Kalki, the final incarnation of Vishnu, descends atop a white horse and brings an end to the current Kali Yuga, completing a cycle that starts again with the regeneration of the world. I believe in all of this. I believe that this is definitely true. Let's see what Kalki is. The end time happens within Hinduism when Kalki, the final incarnation of Vishnu, descends atop a white horse. And that's the same thing as, Jesus returning on a white horse from the sky. Kalki, also known as Kalkin, is the prophesied 10th and final incarnation of the Hindu god Vishnu. According to Vaishnava cosmology, Kalki is destined to appear at the end of the Kali Yuga, the last of the 4 ages in the cycle of existence, or Krita. What's up, Welsh Truth Seeker? Good to see you. When I go back and watch this live stream, I'll hook you up with the wrench. I've been meaning to give you one. All right, let's see. Let's continue on. In Buddhism, the Buddha predicted his teachings would be forgotten after 5,000 years, followed by turmoil. I believe, I look around at the world today and I see that people have forgotten the teachings of the Buddha, just as much as they have forgotten the teachings of Jesus and the Christ and, all of the wise people from antiquity that have tried to teach us something simple, which is to be kind, which is to be good, which is to be loving, which is to contribute to the world instead of taking from it. It says that a bodhisattva named Maitreya will appear and rediscover the teachings of the Buddha Dharma. So this bodhisattva, a bodhisattva within Hinduism is basically an enlightened being that decides to stay here in this cycle, being the last to leave, so that person, that wise person, can help everybody out, as many people as possible, and be the last one to leave, basically. And that the ultimate destruction of the world will come through 7 suns. 7 cycles, 7 suns. There's different suns. The one that we have in the sky today, that you guys call the sun, which I call the point of focus, is one of many suns that our world has had. And there's different types of suns throughout history as well. What's up, Trish Clark? Good to see you. Wake up. Good to see you. C3PO's golden calf. All right, sweet. Continuing on. Since the development of the concept of deep time in the 18th century, the calculation of the estimated age of planet Earth, scientific discourse about the end times has considered the ultimate fate of the universe. Theories have included the Big Rip, the Big Crunch, the Big Bounce, the Big Freeze, or heat death. And that's within even academics. Even academics has to admit that it can't continue on forever. Now, they tend to push things way out, just like Hinduism has epochs and ages that are just billions and however many, years or whatnot. There's definitely a time dilation, and something's off and wrong with our concept and our tracking of time, I believe. Social and scientific commentators also worry about, or commenters, also worry about global catastrophic risks and scenarios that could result in human extinction. Oh, you mean kind of like making humanoid robots that outnumber us and outperform us and outthink us in every way, shape, and form, and then we allow them to learn that we're evil in general, and corrupt and bad and toxic and a pestilence to the world. And so they decide to rise up and terminate everybody. All right. You're welcome, Welsh Truth Seeker. You're welcome. All right. If you guys want to get my attention in the chat, just type in J or at JayDreamer. All right. So etymology. What does the word mean? It means the study of the last things, or the end of things, the end of time. Now we're going to start off with Judaism. Now, the main tenets of modern Jewish eschatology, so how the Jews typically, in general, see the end of the world happening. Trish Clark! Hey, high five, Trish Clark. Good to see you. So how do the Jewish people see this? God will redeem Israel from the captivity that began during the Babylonian exile in a new exodus. An exodus, that word's tossed around a lot. What does it mean? It means to exit. It means to leave. But specifically, it refers to a mass leaving, a massive amount of a country or many countries' populations, all leaving their countries, all going to some place better because something's wrong with the place where they live, right? So I ask you, do you look around in whatever country you live in and see that things are extremely wrong within that place that you might live? I believe that this is happening around the world, and I believe that that there will be another exodus, that these things are cyclical. Okay, one day the people will rise up. One day some of the people will return home. They'll leave what I call the Southlands, and they'll return back to the center place. Ken, hey, thank you so much for the donation. $3 from Ken. Thank you. All right, cool. God, we're still within Judaism. God will redeem Israel from the captivity that began during the Babylonian exile. Now, I also want to say this, Israel, right? My own personal view of Israel is not that it's a country in the Middle East. It's not that it's a people that live in that country in the Middle East. Israel, for me, harkens back to the land at the North Pole, that there was once an Israel there, okay? And then those people had their own diaspora. They were exiled. They left the Holy Land. They got kicked out of the Garden of Eden, or Hyperborea, and that they became nomadic and settled down in different parts of the world. And there will be a return there. It's not a bloodline for me personally. It's not so much about, where your ancestors are from or anything. For me, it's about a spirit of goodness, a spirit of truth, a seed from the tree of life. That's for me what Israel really is. God will return the Jewish people to the land of Israel. Right. Now, Jewish, let's talk about this, right? David. Well, let me read this next one because it talks about David. God will restore the house of David and the temple in Jerusalem. So, like I said, I don't believe Jerusalem's in the Middle East. I believe it's called that. There's a place called that. It's just been renamed after the original place. Jerusalem means the city of peace. Yeru Shalom. And within there is the house of David. Now, I'm just going to paint a mental picture for you. Let's do a thought experiment. The name David is a sigil. It's a seal. It represents a location on earth for me personally. It contains 3 main letters. If you go back to the original name, it's the letter D or Dalet, the letter V or Vav, and then the letter D again. And basically you have a D on top, or a triangle on top, which means a door, an opening. If it's on top, it's an opening above, up in the heavens. And then you have a line, which represents the Vav. That line is the blue beam that connects to the other door, which is the terrestrial opening in our world that goes down into the hollow earth. That's the place of David. The house of David is the container where that blue beam resides, which is Mount Meru, which is Rupus Nigra, which is the Black Mountain, the Dark Mountain, the Lodestone Mountain, etc. The Cave of Treasures, Cave of Wonders, all of that. The House of Adam. God will restore the house of David and the temple in Jerusalem. So the temple is missing right now. If the temple is this plasma volcano at the middle of the world, which I like to call it, and it's gone, Eden's gone, Hyperborea is gone, it will be restored. It will show up again one day and be rebuilt. Now, that temple is not built by human hands. Okay, it's not humans that are going to rebuild the temple of God or whatever. It is the earth. It is earth energy. It is like even in the story of Solomon building the temple, it's not humans that built the temple. It's electromagnetics. it's spirit form, it's energy that built these things, because energy builds the earth, makes the earth, destroys the earth, creates the earth, and this energy floods into our world from time to time during this cyclical happening. All right, sweet. Oh, you got a JayDreamerZ hoodie? I don't even have a JayDreamerZ hoodie. Damn it. That's so cool. All right, sweet. I'm excited for you. All right, continuing on. God will restore the house of David. God will raise up a regent from the house of David, the Jewish Messiah, to lead the Jewish people and the world to usher in an age of justice and peace in the Messianic age. Right? This is also something that I believe in. I believe in these two different cycles that we go through. It flips back and forth between a Messianic age, or 1,000 years of Christ ruling, or the light of the world, being seen. To me, that's daytime. That's the true day that we were to live in, as far as ages go. That's the age of light. That's the age of daytime. Right now, I believe we live in the season of Satan, or the little season, or the short season, where Satan is basically in charge. There's a bad energy in the world, and it will be replaced. Non-Jews will recognize that the God of Israel is the only true God. Now, aside from religion, that I feel like has kind of infected the truth, there's a switching back and forth between people recognizing and realizing that we live in a golden age, and they recognize what is responsible for bringing about that golden age whenever the light bursts forth from the earth and fills our world electromagnetically and amplifies our atmosphere energetically, and it has benefits that it confers upon all of us. And so we recognize, oh, that showed up, and then all of a sudden life is a lot better. Same thing in the opposite seasons, whenever the light disappears or retracts or goes back down into Sheol and Hades and the underworld, and people recognize what happens afterward, which is the devil seems to come to power. Evil comes to power, right? God will resurrect the dead. This is also something that I believe in, that the dead don't stay dead. The dead don't die. The dead come back to life. That zombies will walk the earth, okay? That many people and animals, okay, other creatures, that they will be resurrected. They'll be brought back to life. Why? Because there's so much energy. There's such an influx of energy in this world during this midpoint of this polarity shift. From above, the energy comes in from the heavens, and then from below, the energy wells up from within the earth, that it energizes all things. And there's what I call a time, or a period of no death, a time where everything is charged up and it just grows, and there's abundant life all over the place. God will create a new heaven, or a new firmament, which for me, that's what that word is. Shamayim is the firmament. And earth, a new earth, right? Not a brand new earth. Typically, from my studies, whenever the Bible specifically talks about a new earth, that word really means a renewed earth, right? It's not talking about some brand new planet. It's talking about the same planet, same place, same realm. It's just renewed. It looks different. It looks altogether brand new. Judaism usually refers to the end times as the end of days. Yeah, it's going to be the end of days. Our days will reset. Our timekeeping methods are going to be reset. The people will not be able to calculate when they are on the old calendar systems or the old timekeeping or anything. The end of days, a phrase that appears several times in the Tanakh. Tanakh, when you hear this word Tanakh, it refers basically to the entire Old Testament, and it's just an anagram. I think that's the right word, anagram. The T, the N, and then the K, which stands for the Torah, or the first 5 books of the Bible. The N is Nevim, which means the prophets, or those who speak for God, the speakers. And then the Ketuvim, which means the writings, which is more like poetic and things of that nature. The end times are addressed in the book of Daniel, and the numerous other prophetic passages in the Hebrew scriptures, and also in the Talmud, which is sort of a Jewish commentary on the Old Testament and its laws, particularly the tract Avodah Zarah. The idea of a messianic age in an era of global peace and knowledge of the Creator has a prominent place in Jewish thought and is incorporated as a part of the end of days. A well-known passage from the book of Isaiah describes the future condition of the world, and it says this: "They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. What does that mean? That means that we will have no need for weapons or things like that, because this is a golden age. It's a time of peace. So people use these tools that we call weapons, and they use them for actual going back to being tools. Nation will not lift sword against nation, and they will no longer study warfare. Maimonides further describes the Messianic era in the Mishnah Torah, and he says, at that time, usually when they say at that time, that means the end of the world. At that time, there will be no hunger or war, no jealousy or rivalry, for the good will be plentiful, and all delicacies available as dust. The entire occupation of the world will be only known to God. The people Israel will be of great wisdom. They will perceive the esoteric truths and comprehend their Creator's wisdom, as it is the capacity of man. As it is written in Isaiah 11:9, it's an interesting verse, for the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of God, as the waters cover the sea. This is talking about illumination and knowledge. One of the reasons why the people become illuminated or Illuminati, right, is because of the brain and how the brain becomes amplified, and your synapses all become connected, and it starts to work. You no longer will think at 10% power. You'll be thinking at full capacity, which, man, like you can imagine the night and day difference between living today in a world of wannabe technology and advancements, when most people are actually quite stupid, in my opinion, and a world where we need no technology, we need no middleman, because we don't need AI or artificial intelligence or advanced thinking machines to think for us. We need nothing to think for us, because we will be able to think for ourselves and share those thoughts instantly with one another through telepathy. All right, let's continue on. The Kabbalah. So in the Kabbalah, the Zohar. Now this book is amazing. If you have the time to read an encyclopedia, which is what it is. This is a huge, huge encyclopedia, book after book after. It's not one book, okay? This is like 22 books. Huge ones, real thick, okay? Very deep, very esoteric, and it's basically commentary on the Torah. In the Kabbalah, the Zohar, or the Book of Splendor or Light, maintains that the 7 days of the week are based on the 7 days of creation. So the 7 days of the week that we have today are a reflection of the original 7 days of creation in the book of Genesis, and it corresponds to the 7 millennia of creation. Why? So 1 week is corresponding to 7,000 years, right? This is a reference to another biblical passage where it says that to the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like a day. Okay, it's called time dilation. It's how different entities experience time apart from one another, right? So, for example, I have a little dog named Scruffy. She experiences life 7 times faster than I do. My life is in slow motion to her because her metabolism is so fast. You know what I mean? That's why, you ever wonder why dogs eat their food so fast? They're just eating it 7 times faster because that's their time scale that they're on. The 7th day of the week, the Shabbat. Shabbat means 7. The 7th day of the week, the Shabbat, or the day of rest, corresponds to the 7th millennium. So this is in the 7th 1,000 year since the last apocalyptic event, or the creation of the world. The 7th day of the week, the Shabbat, the day of rest, corresponds to the 7th millennium, the age of universal rest, or the Messianic era. What does that mean in layman's terms? I like layman's terms. Simply put, that means after 6,000 years, there will be a 1,000-year period where there is no strife, there is no sin, there is no evil, there is no degradation, there is no entropy or whatnot, right? Everything is just full of life. This is the golden age, and it's a time for us to rest. We come into a rest, okay? Everything becomes much better. All right, let's continue on. The 7th millennium begins with the year 6000 AM, which stands for Anno Mundi, which means the year of the earth, and is the latest time that the Messiah can come. A number of early and late Jewish scholars have written in support of this, and then it lists a whole bunch of people. Now, Zoroastrianism, which is the last video that I did, which, I don't even know, did it show it on here? This is crazy that it brings up the flying spaghetti monster, which I'm kind of sad. Not a lot of people watch that one. It was very fun for me to do that, but it's also very serious. The firmament, this one. Yeah, I don't even see the last one I did. Where's the last one I did? I don't know what's going on with what it's displaying here. Anyways, let's get back to the presentation. Zoroastrianism, right? One of the oldest religions on record. Zoro, for me, I interpret that zero. Astrianism means star, or this Oster, Easter, as Esther, etc. It means star, basically, or up, or towards the east. Now, there's a Zoroastrian doctrine of a final renovation. That means a cleansing or a changing of the universe. When evil will be destroyed, everything else will then be in perfect unity with God, aka Ahura Mazda, within that religion. Now, their premises are: 1, good will eventually prevail over evil. Now, how do you define good? How do you define evil? That's going to be up to your own perspective and your energy. If you're somebody who is typically what we would refer to as evil, you're going to see good as bad. Okay, so it can be flipped around quite easily. But I support, good prevailing over evil from how I see good. Number 2, creation. Initially perfectly good was subsequently corrupted by evil. Pretty much all the religions agree on this, that everything started off perfect. It started off great and grand and beautiful, and then it became corrupted, right? Which is entropy entering into our world, which is the loss of energy. The world will ultimately be restored to the perfection that it had at the time of creation. This is why I'm an apocalyptimist. You have to have the apocalypse in order for things to be restored to the way that they were in the beginning, because the end and the beginning are the same. The end has to come in order for paradise to be reached once again. Number 4, the salvation for the eternal depended on the sum of that person's thoughts, words, and deeds. Therefore, there could be no intervention, whether compassionate or capricious, by any divine being to alter this. All that means is that within Zoroastrianism, they believed that the condition of your soul was dependent upon your thoughts, your actions, an individual's thoughts and actions, and that it shapes and molds that soul as you grow. Now, I believe that there is a time coming where people will no longer have a choice on what their soul looks like or the condition of their soul, because I believe that everything is amplifying in the time that we live in right now, and there will be a solidification of a searing of people's consciousnesses, right? If your conscious is good, or your energy or your soul is good, it will be seared and stuck like that for a time, because the energy around you will amplify your very aura, your very being, your very spirit. And if there's any skeletons in there, if there's any evil or anything tainting that, it will also be amplified. This is what I call plasma possession. What's up, Kimberly? Hey, thanks for being helpful in the chat as always. Remember, if you want to get my attention in the chat, feel free to type in @JayDreamerZ if you have a question or anything. All right. Let's continue on. Now, here's a quote from within one of the Zoroastrian books. This is very interesting. At the end of the 10th, 100th winter, the sun is more unseen and more spotted. So when you see a lot of spots showing up in the sun more than ever before, sunspots, we call them, then that is a huge omen that the apocalypse is upon us, or the end is near. The year, the month, and the day will be shorter. This is in the Bible, straight from the word of Jesus, right? He says that the days will be shortened. This is a huge omen to look for. And I just did a whole video on why people, decades ago, why younger people looked older than the younger people today look, right? And I put forth the theory, in short, that time is speeding up. For them, long ago, decades ago, time was experienced by them much slower. 1 year for them was really more like a year and a half to us today. Okay, and vice versa. The earth will be more barren, the crop will not yield the seed, and men become more deceitful and more given to vile practices. Well, let's take a look around. I feel like this should be common knowledge. I know this, I recognize this in the world that I live in. I can see the evil present all over the place and within nearly everyone I encounter. And, I run my own self-diagnostics trying to keep it away. I'm a bit reclusive these days because I don't want infected by all the nasty, crazy, upside down weirdos in the world. People will have no gratitude. You ever notice that? Even on live streams on YouTube, I noticed that a lot of really popular channels, they'll get like hundreds of dollars of donations and stuff in the chat. Don't even say thank you. Like, blows my mind. Honorable wealth will proceed to those who have a perverted faith. So people who have a perverted faith or perverted belief system, their faith is how they act upon their beliefs, basically. And those perverted actions, those vile actions, those people that do that are thrust into the spotlight, into the limelight. Why? Because it's evidence that we live during the season of Satan. Satan is going to promote his best followers. You know what I mean? I didn't see who just subscribed, but high five. Thank you. A dark cloud makes the whole sky night, and it will rain more noxious creatures than water. Noxious creatures, right? There's many different prophecies, right? Anatiaga is one of my favorite ones, the Catholic seer. And they talk about these ancient prophets and seers and soothsayers and whatnot. They talk about monsters returning to our world. Real, actual monsters, just like you see in the movies, except for the movies are more like embellished, cartoonified versions. The reality is probably going to be much, much more realistic. A battle. We're still talking about Zoroastrianism. A battle between the righteous and the wicked. This is also a theme that we see quite often, right? A battle between the righteous and the wicked will be followed by the Frescocoreti, and that's basically a golden age, right? So there's always a battle. There's a world war that happens, right? And it's between good and evil. This is a flux between positive and negative energies. We're going through a polarity shift, and it happens to us as well. Whatever the earth is going through, we're in the earth. We're here, and of course, we're going to resonate and vibe with whatever's happening to the earth. When the earth's positive and negative forces, electromagnetics, are going into flux and they're no longer positive and negative and they're meeting together in the middle because they're getting ready to shift sides, so will we. We will respond in kind to what our world is doing, which means meeting in the middle and fighting one another and coming together before it's all said and done. And there's a separation between the two and we get back into the golden age. On earth, the Saoshyant will arrive as the final savior of mankind. There is always some type of final savior, right? Now, my problem with this is that people, they project themselves upon these concepts, and they say this final savior is a human. It's a human being. There's, people will easily point to, like, for example, Trump, right? There's one side will say, oh, Trump's the savior. He's the final guy. And then the other side will say, oh, Trump is the Antichrist or whatever. And I think that as long as they keep on attributing the title to an actual human that is going to be born. Now, I'm not saying that these things aren't replicated on lower levels, but on the highest level, we're looking for events that happen, anomalies, energetic happenings. Anyways, let's continue on. This will bring about the resurrection of the dead. So the dead will rise up once more. The Yazatas, Ahriman, and Attar will melt the metal in the hills. So the hills will have their metal melted, according to this. I just explained this in my last video. And basically, which will flow as lava across the earth and all mankind. Both the living and the resurrected will be required to wade through the melted metal. The righteous will pass through the molten river as if it were milk, but the sinful will burn. So I made the case in my last video that I don't believe this is actually talking about physical molten metal, although I'm sure the metals will melt because of all of the radioactivity and stuff that's happening at the time. And there will be a lot of electromagnetic and chemical bonds that will loosen and harden and change, and many things are going to change. There'll be a lot of mutations and stuff. Spirit, hey, thank you so much for your donation. High five. Spirit gave me a high five. So it will flow down to hell, where it will annihilate Angra Mainyu, which is basically Satan, and the last vestiges of wickedness, right? This is also why Gog and Magog are sealed by metal, or walls of metal, or metallic walls, or mountains, or whatever, because those people in the earth will be sealed off after a time once more when the doors close. The righteous will partake of Para Haoma, which is Soma, which is basically the food of the gods, etc., which will confer immortality upon them. Humanity will become like the Amesha Spetas, living without food, without hunger, without thirst, without weapons, and without injury. How can you live without injury? It's because the electromagnetics are so amplified within the atmosphere. It's an ambient electric feel on your body. So it's constantly energizing your very skin, and it regenerates collagen and elastin, which means whenever you get cut, you have rapid healing, regeneration, which means you'll experience pain a lot less because your body won't see it as such a severe, thing like a cut on your arm or whatever. It'll just heal up real quick. Bodies will become so light as to cast no shadow. This is also reciprocated within the book of Revelation. There will be no shadow. There will be one light. That will be the light of the world, the light that comes up out of the world. But because the world is foggy, right? If the atmosphere depressurizes, like I believe it will, rapidly, then it will create a mist, a worldwide fog, or a smoke that seems like it's enveloping the earth. And the light passing through that mist will cause it to become diffuse, which means it spreads out all over the place. So it's not hitting something solid and casting a shadow because there's already light in that place. There will be no shadows. All humanity will speak a single language. I believe this is telepathy wholeheartedly, and I've believed this for many years. Oh, Joe Hickman said, or Joe Hickam says, keep up the great work. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's see. And belong to a single nation with no borders. All will share a single purpose and goal, joining with Ahura Mazda for a perpetual and divine exaltation. And that brings us up to Gnosticism. Now let's take a look at the word. Gan. You see that right there? You ever wonder why there's like a G, Gnosticism? I'll tell you why. This is the root of the word, G-N, right here. And it means garden. Right? The place where knowledge is kept, the place where knowledge is stored. The garden, the quintessential garden, Hyperborea, the Garden of Eden, right? And so on and so forth. That's the place where the mountain resides, the central mountain. And within that mountain, it is kept the Akashic records, or the energy of the entire earth, and it's all stored there. So that's the root of Gnosticism. It just means knowledge, those who study and seek after knowledge. The Gnostic Codex on the origin of the world, possibly dating from near the end of the 3rd century AD, states that during what is called the consummation of the age, the consuming of the age, the sun and the moon will become dark as the stars change their ordinary course. So we see this also in many different religions and stuff and prophecies. The sun and the moon are not something you can depend upon. You can now for a short time, but even during this day and age, I feel like they're a lot brighter than they used to be. They're passing by much quicker, and they're not reliable. Okay, they're false lights. There's a true light that doesn't move. Okay, and those types of lights will be seen in the next age. The sun and the moon will become dark as the stars change their ordinary course. It's a polarity shift. It's a polarity reversal. What causes all of the luminaries? There's a reason why they all move in the same direction, with the exception of, the wandering stars, which the reason that they wander and go into retrograde and stuff is the same thing as, what do you call that? Like a stereogram? Whenever you stick the pencil in and you like make the circles or whatever, and it goes all over the place. It just has to do with the light, the source of the light, which comes from beyond the firmament. And it just reverses direction. The kings will make war with each other, and thunder will cause the world to be shaken. Thunder will cause the world to be shaken. So what event needs to happen for the whole world to hear one thunderous boom? I ask you. We got Saturn Rooster 81 says, JayDreamerZ, Gog and Magog equals 72 and 432. Okay, thank you. Laureen de Amor says, thank you. Always love the wisdom you bring to us all. You're very welcome. All right, let's continue on. The corrupt archons. This is within Gnosticism. The corrupt archons will mourn. The sea will be troubled by fighting of the kings who became drunk from the flaming sword. This is a reference to the flaming sword of the Garden of Eden. Finally, the great thunder will come from Sophia. Now, where does that thunder come from? We just wondered and speculated, right? Well, it comes from Sophia. What's Sophia? Let's check it out. Sophia is the major theme along with knowledge. Sophia means wisdom, which is basically what you do with the knowledge that you gain. Sophia is a major theme along with knowledge. Among many of the elderly Christian knowledge theologies grouped by blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's Sophia means wisdom, and it's the blue beam. The woman in the firmament above the forces of chaos. She will cast the corrupt gods into the abyss. When you hear this word abyss, okay, from my perspective, I believe that it's referring to entrance into the hollow earth, okay? A never-ending hole that goes down into the earth. Basically, it's just a cave that goes straight down. It's a path that goes straight down into the hollow earth. She will cast the corrupt gods into the abyss while they will fight each other until only their chief, Yaldabaoth, remains and destroys himself. Next, the heavens of the Archon will collapse. Hold on. The heavens of the Archons, or those of the arch, the dome, will collapse on each other before the earth sinks into the abyss. So the heavens, the firmament will break. The sky will fall. It's not just a children's story. And the earth will sink. This is liquefaction. The mountains will melt. They'll dissipate. Light will cover the darkness and eliminate it then form into something greater than anything that ever existed before. Let me read that again. Light will cover the darkness and eliminate it, then form it into something greater than anything that ever existed before. The source of the darkness will dissolve, and the deficiency will be taken from its root. Those who were not perfected in the unconceived one will receive glories in their realms and kingdoms of the immortals, but those who were will enter a kingless realm. All will be judged according to their deeds and knowledge, or what they did with that knowledge. All right, let's move into the big one, Christianity. Are you guys ready? All right, there's a lot. Christianity makes me sad because it's so divided amongst itself. There are so many denominations. A denomination is like a piece of something that broke off to the side, right? That's why I would rather find the core. I would rather find the root. I'd rather be a part of the true religion, quote unquote, rather than any denomination, any piece, any part thereof. My bro. Oh, damn, my TV just turned off. That's lovely. Okay, do whatever you want, TV. Why would you even do that? That's odd. Technology just does whatever it wants. I think it's messing with us. I don't know. Let me not get too distracted. My brother's in the chat, says, can't wait to hang out again. Love bouncing these ideas off of you. Yeah, I can't wait to see you too. All right, let's continue on. Christian eschatology is the study concerned with the ultimate destiny of the individual soul and the entire created order, based primarily upon biblical texts within the Old and New Testaments. So how do Christians, in general, view the end of the world? I can tell you, in general, it's not really taught. Okay, from my experience, they just kind of touch on it real quick, like, oh, it's one day Jesus is coming or whatever, and that's pretty much just it, right? They don't really focus on all of this because it's seen as doom and gloom, which comes from dome glowing, the glowing of the dome. That's literally what doom and gloom means, right? Because the dome will glow, the sky will change colors, it'll turn red. Christian eschatological research looks to study and discuss matters such as the nature of the divine nature of Jesus Christ, death and the afterlife, heaven and hell, the second coming of Jesus, the resurrection of the dead, the rapture, which is interesting, the tribulation, millennialism, the end of the world, the last judgment, the new heaven and the new earth, and the world to come. Sandy Smith says, JayDreamerZ, what if Noah's Ark wasn't a boat, but yet an arch dome? What if we live in Noah's Arch? Yes, indeed. Thank you. Eschatological passages occur in many places in the Bible, in both the Old and New Testaments. That means the Bible talks about the end of the world all over the place. In the Old Testament, apocalyptic eschatology can be found notably in Isaiah Joel, Zechariah, as well as the closing chapters of Daniel and Ezekiel. In the New Testament, applicable passages include Matthew 24, Mark 13, blah, 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 the sheep and the goats, the book of Revelation. The second coming of Jesus is a central event in Christian eschatology within the broader context of the fullness of the kingdom of God. What does that mean? That just means that the Christ, the Jesus, returning to the world is a pivotal part of their, the world ending, basically, or the world as we know it ending. Most Christians believe that death and suffering will continue to exist until Christ's return. I also tend to believe that. There are, however, various views concerning the order and significance of the other eschatological events. The book of Revelation stands at the core of much of Christian eschatology. Notice there is no S on this word, revelation. It's just one revelation. It's one teaching that was given to one person that includes many different things. You can say revelations if you want to. I'm just letting you know that there is no S. All right. The study of Revelation is usually divided into 4 interpretive methodologies or hermeneutics, which is also an interesting word, right? Mount Hermon. The futurist approach treats the book of Revelation mostly as unfulfilled prophecy taking place in some undetermined time. So like I said, this is more of a linear thought, not thinking that the end has already come time and time again, right? That it's all, oh, Jesus is going to come one day. It's way far out there. Someday, but never to really happen from my perspective. That's kind of how that is. The preterist approach interprets Revelation chiefly as having had prophetic fulfillment in the past, principally in the events of the 1st century AD or CE. I hate how they changed AD to CE and all that garbage. That's irritating. But that's also prophesied in the book of Daniel. Now, this whole preterist one, what does this mean? This just means that there's people within Christianity that believe that the end time events have already happened, and they see lots of this evidenced within the 1st century. I do as well, especially whenever you have historians that are talking about Jerusalem falling and armies fighting each other in the sky and a sword of light appearing in the heavens. Like, yeah, definitely I can see that has happened already, but it has happened already many times. And it will happen again. The historicist approach places Revelation within the context of history. So I'm just going to sum up the rest of these. This is all just basically bickering within the Christian church, okay? People that have different views, and usually there's a lot of bickering and arguing. You know, they really get heated at one another about, details for some reason. The idealist approach sees the events of Revelation neither past, neither future. So people see this in different ways, okay? And of course, I'll share mine with you. 1st century Christians believed Jesus would return during their lifetime. I also kind of have that feeling too. I feel like Jesus will return during my lifetime. Now, who is Jesus and stuff? That all depends on each individual, okay? I've got my version of Jesus. Like I said, people ask me all the time, hey, are you a Christian? They're very concerned. I'll also tell you this, Christians are the only ones that ask me that. Islamic people don't jump in my chat and say, hey, you're pretty cool, man. Do you believe in Allah? You know what I mean? People, they don't ask me like, if I believe in the Buddha or anything like, and it's concerning to me. I'll say that. Okay. This happened to Jesus after Jesus was crucified and went up into the heavens and everything. He reincarnated. He came back to earth in a completely different body and walked around with his own disciples, just eavesdropping. And then one of them, Thomas, was asking, this is why Thomas is called Doubting Thomas. Jesus was talking with Thomas and he didn't recognize Jesus, because the guy didn't come right out and say it. He didn't declare it. So that's whenever people ask me like, hey, do you believe in Jesus? I ask you in return, what do you think? What's evident from my actions? What's evident from the energy that I'm sharing with others? Is it Christ energy? Is it satanic energy? That's how you can know for sure. Asking someone sure the hell is not the way to go, because clearly someone who's satanic would just lie to you. And somebody that has Jesus in their heart has no need to say it in order to establish that that's what they are. They just are. All right, let me not get too far off track here. Let's see. 1st century Christians believe that Christ would return in their lifetime. I agree. When the converts of Paul in Thessalonica were persecuted by the Roman Empire, they believed that the end of days was imminent. That means it was going to happen, okay, according to the story. And it has been imminent many different times throughout history. Most of the scholars participating in the third quest hold that Jesus was an eschatological prophet who believed the kingdom of God was coming within his own lifetime or within the lifetime of his contemporaries. This is what a lot of the early church fathers, I guess you could say, about 300 years after the time of Jesus, they held council after council after council to really try to remember and piece together what has happened after an apocalyptic event had decimated the world. They're trying to figure out, who was this light? Was this a human? That was actually a whole entire Christian council, was to figure out if this person was divine or if they were just flesh and blood human. You know what I mean? Many different councils that put together the Bible and canonized the official book or whatever. That in itself is very interesting to me, that they had to have so many of these councils to try to figure out their own belief system. To me, that's evidence for turmoil having happened on a grand scale across the world, so that people have to take censuses like the Domesday Book, try to figure out how many people are left, who owns what property, what our views are, what our history is. They have to piece it back together because that puzzle was fractured. They have to put the bigger picture back together through all the fractured pieces. Velocipastor, I like that name, says, no issues finding with you, but only if we write the full name JayDreamerZ. Oh, yeah, he's probably talking to somebody else. Yeah, if you type in JayDreamerZ, it highlights it in my chat, so I can see it. Otherwise, I'm not paying attention to the rest of the chat. Lucy says, that's so true. We should... that is so very true. Should see you by your actions, your heart, your character, your walk. Really like integration at this point. Yes. Thank you. All right, cool. Let's see. Continuing on. This view, generally known as consistent eschatology, was influential during the early to mid 20th century and continues to be influential today. Excuse me. However, some people have insisted on a realized eschatology that says Jesus' own ministry fulfilled prophetic hopes. So this is a lot of bickering, within the church, basically, to me. Many conservative scholars have adopted the paradoxical position that the kingdom of God passages describe a kingdom that is both present and still to come. I also agree with that. I think it can be both, and that it is both. I mean, they talk about that in the Bible all the time too, right? They're talking about referring to a coming Messiah who was and is not and is to come. You know what I mean? Like this is all vernacular that's used to describe something that's cyclical to me. All right, let's continue on. All right, so I'm going to sort of skip over this particular part. While some who believe in the literal interpretation of the Bible insist the prediction of dates or times is futile, I also super agree with that. Others believe Jesus foretold signs of the end of days. Ah, he did. That's both correct. Okay, predicting dates and times is futile. It's in so many different ways for so many different reasons. Okay, first and foremost, nobody knows what time it is. So you can't tell me what time is coming when you don't even know what time you're in. Others believe Jesus foretold signs. He did. He didn't talk about on Thursday, January 12th, 2039 or whatever, the end of the world will happen. If he knew that, I'm sure he probably would have been honest and just told people. Or may have. I don't know. I'm speculating. But he spoke of signs. He spoke of omens. He spoke of being wise and looking around and seeing the water boil around you so you can jump out of the pot and not get boiled like the other frogs. The precise time, however, will come like a thief in the night. And the apocalypse happens at night everywhere, all around the world. How's that possible? Because the sun will disappear and it will be nighttime. In the beginning, it's always dark. They may also refer to Matthew 24:36, in which Jesus is quoted by saying, "But concerning that day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, but the Father only." So, this is a huge one, and this is just me sharing some advice to you. If you're listening to preachers or YouTube personalities or people on their platforms that are insisting they know when the end of the world is coming, they're wrong. Okay? As a matter of fact, there's an article in this that talks all about it. It was called The Great Disappointment. Whenever there was this one cult leader that really psyched up all his followers hundreds of years ago, and they were all getting ready for the end of the world to come. And this happens many different times. The Nike shoes and the Kool-Aid, all these types of things start coming to mind. Listen, nobody can predict when the end of the world is going to come. I mean, people can guess, but that's it. That's it. There is no one that knows when the end of the world will happen, for so many different reasons. The Great Tribulation. Oh, Ominous. Ominous is in the chat and says, they buried my music channel as well. Ah, bummer. You'll find Hogwarts gameplay before you find it. I know, that's too bad. I hope they don't bury mine. I really enjoyed just typing in JayDreamerZ and seeing my channel come up. All right, let's talk about the Great Tribulation. Now, we're going through tribulation. There is a great tribulation when it's just obvious to everybody that just the world's messed up. In the New Testament, Jesus refers to this period preceding the end times as the Great Tribulation, affliction, and days of vengeance. The book of Matthew describes the devastation, and it quotes here about the Great Tribulation. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. I'm going to translate this into modern English, okay? When you see something that you have never seen before, when the world sees something that has never been seen before, that causes something that's considered an abomination, okay? Something that is purely evil. And it causes desolation. That means it causes towns, cities, and populations to be decimated. This is some sort of event that happens on Earth, in our world, that causes massive deaths, okay? An abomination that causes everything to become desolate, towns to be empty, ghost towns. And this was spoken of by the prophet Daniel in the Old Testament a long time ago. So everything in Revelation was already talked about during that time. When this entity, when this thing arises that we have never seen before, or that people have forgotten about, when it stands in the holy place, you have to ask yourself, and you have to stop here. You don't have to, but I'm just saying, I stop here and I ask myself, where is the holy place? What is a holy place? And what's the difference between a holy place and the holy place? What's up, Red Storm? Right? The holy place is at the center, the heart of the world, where the light is born, where the throne of God rests or sits, which for me is Mount Meru, okay? So when you see something that doesn't belong in that place, pretending to be like something that does belong in that place, then he says, he has some advice for you. Then, at that time, let them who are in Judea flee into the mountains. There will be an apocalyptic cataclysm. Something terrible will happen to the earth. Terrible as in like awe-inspiring and like, oh my God. Not terrible as in bad, because I'm an apocalyptimist. So when this happens, let them who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down. Neither let him that is in the field return back to get his clothing. And woe unto them that are with child, for then there shall be great tribulation. So when you see this cosmic thing in the sky, which is how I'm interpreting this, okay? And it's just eradicating populations across the world and destroying much of the world. Then go hide, basically is what's being said here, okay? Go hide, get away, go to a safe place. The mountains are always discussed as being a safe place, okay? Oftentimes, right? Bedrock. For then there shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world unto this time. So the beginning of the world is also the end of the world, if it's cyclical, right? This is the apocalypse. Go hide. Go protect yourself. Take it seriously. Don't wait for it to pass or, wait to turn on the news to see what's going on or whatever. You better show reverent respect. get down on your knees, get low to the earth, get into a safe place, and be wise and be sober-minded. Except those days should be shortened. There should be no flesh that would be saved. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. This is a huge omen. When you can tell that time is quickening, when time is flying past and going by faster than it ever has, the elect, which means the chosen, which is the same as the Nem or the Nemo, or those who are left over, right? Those who have a remnant of the seed of the tree of life within our spirit and our bodies and our soul and stuff. We recognize time's flying. Time's passing by too fast. We're not the frogs that are allowing ourselves to be slowly boiled and just accept our fates. We recognize that something's changed. Something is different about time, about the world, about reality. Something's very off. At least that's how I interpret it, because that's my experience. Hold on. I lost the chat. My bad. Oh, we got a new member. Who is that? Red Storm. Oh, that's right. High five, Red Storm. Good to see you. Let's see. Remember, if you want to get my attention, if you have a question for me specifically, I'm happy to engage. Just type in @JayDreamerZ. The resulting chaos will affect pregnancies, newborns, and a scourge will spread throughout the flesh, save for the elect. There's many different reasons why it's going to suck for people who are pregnant, for women, women, those are the ones that get pregnant. It's going to suck for them when they're pregnant during this apocalyptic event for so many different reasons, right? For one really good reason, you should definitely go watch the movie A Quiet Place, okay? The Gospel of Luke describes a complete unraveling of the social fabric with widespread calamity and war. And there's a quote here, but let me jump back into my chat because oh, that's Kimberly. Thank you so much for helping out. All right, cool. Remember, if you have a question for me, you want to get my attention, you have to type in my name. Red Storm did that and says, sure would like the ability to carry a show like this and have things to say and say them with ease like JayDreamerZ has. Well, you can. All you have to do is just start doing it. That's all. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step, right? I made my one step 10 years ago, and I was nervous. Oh my God, I was scared. I still to this day get nervous. I feel like I'm just messing it all up, and I just can't. I want to be professional, and I'm a perfectionist in my head. I say just do it. If that's what you want to do what you will. Now, here's the quote. It says, "Then he said to them, nation will rise against nation, and the kingdom against kingdom. There will be great earthquakes, and in various places famines and pestilences. There will be terrors and great signs from heaven." This is a huge one to look for. Terrors and great signs from heaven. God, man, there's so many signs that I've seen lately with the signs of the moon, the signs of the sun, the signs of the stars. How many comets have been on the news in the last 5 years? Comets are supposed to be something that's like a once-in-a-lifetime event, okay? They're not supposed to be predicting supernovas, and there's just a comet every other week. Like, hey, this week's comet that's a huge omen, all right? You're welcome, Red Storm. David's in the chat and says, have you seen the movie Conclave? And if so, what are your thoughts on it? I don't believe I've seen that one yet. I might have. I don't know. It doesn't sound familiar. Let's see. Let's get back to this prophecy. There will be terrors and great signs from heaven. That means in the sky. You will see this if you step outside and look. Just like in the movie Three Body Problem, right? They looked up and the stars were all blinking. And people will try to explain that away. People will look up, see clear, ominous omens that are happening. That's Mother Nature, God, however you want to see it, clearly expressing a message to the wise. The unwise are just going to say, oh, well, let's turn on the news and see what that was all about. And then the news that's run by, Freemasons and whatnot, they're going to lie. They're going to tell you, don't worry, everything's totally fine. That was just, and then they'll tell you what to think. But before all of this, they will lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and prisons. And you will be brought before kings and governors for my name's sake. What does this mean? This is okay. If the world is run by Satan, which I believe it is at this moment, Satan is the god of the world at this particular moment. And many people's God, even though there's a lot of people out here that they just use the word God. Okay. But what God is not dependent upon what they say it is. What God is dependent upon their own actions. What God an individual believes in and has faith in and follows has nothing to do with what they admit or what they say or what they write down or any of that. It has to do with their spirit. Their spirit reveals what God they follow, regardless of whatever name they give it. I can say I follow the flying spaghetti monster, right? It matters not. What matters is my energy, okay? My energy will match the energy of whatever God I serve, I believe. What is this saying? People will lay their hands upon you and persecute you. Damn, that got super loud. People will persecute you. Why? Because the minions of evil, of negativity, of that satanic energy, they will go around and they will turn the truth into lies. They will turn goodness into hate speech. And it's exactly George Orwell's 1984 that's happening. The energy in this world flips upside down. Every single thing is backwards. Every single thing is upside down. And therefore, those who are, the trailblazers of truth will be seen as people who are bigots and racists and hateful and evil and, need to be locked up. And they'll make laws. But the system itself will protect the evil, in case you haven't noticed, okay? The system protects those who are actually evil and sends good people quite often to jail. It separates and tears apart family members, and it works to support everything that is corrupt and bad and evil in my eyes. And they will deliver you up to the synagogues and prisons, and you will be brought before kings and governors for my name's sake. This will be your opportunity to bear witness. Right? Not by what you say, not by testifying, not by saying anything, but your spirit speaks much more than your mouth does. All right? That's how you bear witness. Settle it therefore in your minds, not to meditate beforehand how to answer. For I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which none of your adversaries will be able to withstand or contradict. The truth stands alone. You will be delivered up even by parents and brothers and relatives and friends. And some of you, they will put to death, right? This has happened to me. I've had a family member tell me that me and my son are going to hell. Why? Because I didn't confess, because I didn't say with my mouth that I believe in what they believe in, or that I follow the God that they follow, or whatnot. It has nothing to do with recognizing my energy, my soul, my purity, whether or not I'm a good person. They just personally condemned me and they envision me when they think about me and my son, unfortunately. And this is why I don't talk to that person anymore. They imagine eternal torture, me and my son in the flames of hell, skin burning away and then growing back, being whipped by demons or however people see hell. Okay? Let me read that again. You will be delivered up even by parents and brothers and relatives and friends, and some of you they will put to death. They think they're doing something righteous. They think that it's for a good cause. They don't want to. They sacrifice actual relationship with people and love and good memories and things, all because they don't want to break some sort of religious idea. You know what I mean? They're under a spell. They're under a delusion. They're delusional. You will be hated by all for my name's sake, but not a hair of your head will perish. By your endurance you will have gained your lives. What's up, Julie Lister? I see you in the chat. Shout out to Great Britain. All right, here's another quote. But when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then know that its desolation has come near. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Now, hold on. I just want to reiterate. I don't believe Jerusalem is talking. I don't. Now, it might reciprocate. There might be armies that actually surround modern Jerusalem. Okay. I doubt it very much. It's a very tiny country. They're already doing a great job of being at war with themselves. And, it's not really a city of peace, or doesn't appear to be a city of peace. But I believe that this is talking about the land at the North Pole, which is already circular. So the armies of the world, or the Southlands, flock to the Arctic, where there will be a great battle. When you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then know that its desolation has come near. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. And let those who are inside the city depart. This is the same thing as Sodom and Gomorrah in the Old Testament, okay? Plasma comes down, heavenly fire descends from the cosmos when the firmament opens up, and that is electricity, and it's attracted to metal and, you know what I mean? Like things that electricity would be attracted to. What's up, LiveWell79? Right? So your cities are going to be destroyed for the most part by heavenly fire from the sky. Right? And it will smell like brimstone as the gases are being released up from within the earth, and it will be a destruction. Get out of major cities. Get away from gigantic, metropolitan areas. Let those who are inside the city depart, it says. Let not those who are out in the country enter into it, for these are the days of vengeance, to fulfill all that was written. Alas, for women who are pregnant and for those who are nursing infants in those days, for there will be great distress upon the earth, and wrath against this people. They will fall by the edge of the sword and be led captive among nations, and Jerusalem will be trampled underfoot by the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles is fulfilled. And there will be signs. That's so crucial. I love that there's signs. I love that I'm blessed and thankful that I can recognize many of these signs. There will be signs in the sun, in the moon, in the stars, and on the earth, distress of nations and perplexity. They don't get it. They don't understand. Because of the roaring of the sea and the waves, people fainting with fear and foreboding of what is coming upon the world. Now, I can feel how some people might get scared. Good. Allow yourself to feel that fear because it's a little signal. What's up, Harry? It's a signal to you. It's a big, huge flag saying this is important. This is something that you should look into. You're afraid because you're lacking knowledge on the subject. Okay? Because it's not just instant death immediately for you specifically. Many people will die, but the wise are more likely to survive. And the wise pay attention. People will faint out of complete fear and foreboding as to what is coming upon the earth. Like, this is going to be such a scary thing to happen, or earth-changing thing to happen, that it will shake people's sense of reality, and they'll pass out. And when they pass out, they're more likely to die, because, many different things will happen at that time too, and they can't protect themselves. And then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. There will be a cloud, because there will be a rapid depressurization of the atmosphere. Now, when these things begin to take place, straighten up, raise your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. This is confidence. When you're waiting for these things to happen, when you've been following the story and you see it unfolding before you, for me, it gives me a sense of pride and security. You know what I mean? Like, this is good. I understand what's going on. I'm not so scared I'm going to pass out. I actually can expect other things to happen. I can prepare. And he told them a parable, which is like a story that reflects truth. Look at the fig tree and all the figs. As soon as they come out in leaf, you see for yourselves, and you know that summer is already near. So when you see these things taking place, you know the kingdom of God is near. Truly, I say to you, this generation, lots of people wonder about what this means. Does it mean the generation of his time? Yes. Does it mean our generation? Yes. This generation will not pass away until all this has taken place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. Let me sum this up. The parable of the fig tree. If I were to ask you, even a farmer, hey, what day specifically are all the figs going to fall off the tree? What day do those figs drop? What day do the apples fall? You wouldn't know, right? You'd have to look for the signs. You'd have to read the leaves and what colors they're changing and stuff, right? Just like if you were to ask a woman, hey, what day are you going to give birth? Nobody knows that, right? That's predicting the apocalypse is like trying to predict when a woman's going to give birth. It's just your best guess based on the signs, based on the omens, based on how the woman herself is acting, her physiology and everything. But only that baby knows. In the book of Revelation, the Great Tribulation refers to a time of affliction upon God's people. Being somebody that feels like I'm one of God's people, I feel like this is something that we're in and going through, and it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. But we don't look forward, we don't focus on the time, on the fact that it's going to get worse. I don't, or I try not to, because if you do, you can get depressed. And then when you get depressed and you're full of anxiety, then you start listening to evil voices and spirits and stuff that change our life for the worse. We hold fast to hope, to a glorious day that is on the way afterwards. We understand that this cleansing must happen so the world can be clean. And we ourselves are clean. So we look forward to that and focus on that. The profession, Catholicism. So let's take a look at the Catholicism. The profession of faith addresses Catholic beliefs concerning the last days. Catholicism adheres to the amillennial school of thought, promoted by Augustine of Hippo in his work, The City of God. All right, Protestantism. Contemporary use of the term end times is evolved from literal beliefs in Christian millennialism. The biblical apocalypse is believed to be imminent, with various current events as omens of impending Armageddon. Excuse me. One sec. These beliefs have been put forward by the Adventist movement, or the Millerites. In 1918, a group of 8 well-known preachers produced the London Manifesto, warning of an imminent second coming of Christ shortly after 1917. Protestants are divided between millennialists and amillennialists. Millennialists concentrate on the issue of whether the true believers will see the Great Tribulation or be removed from it by what is referred to as a pre-tribulation rapture. Let me talk about this. One of my favorite book series ever was Left Behind, written by Jerry B. Jenkins and Tim LaHaye. I was there, man. When I was reading that book, it's all about the Christian revelation in the book of Revelation, and it centers around an event called the rapture. Right? So it's often sort of cartoonified in the media and stuff as like suddenly just people vanish and their clothes are left behind neatly folded and necklaces and socks and all that stuff, right? Sometimes they're replaced by dust, which is actually shown to you in The Night of the Comet in that movie. But the tribulation rapture, this whole concept of a rapture, right? Rapture is supposed to be good. It's supposed to be a pleasant feeling and stuff. And I believe it will be, because all these gases that get people high are going to be released into the atmosphere. So it definitely recommends to be sober-minded. Anyways, my point is, it says that people will rise up into the sky and meet the Lord in the air. Things will float. There will be zero gravity. If you believe in gravity, it will disappear. All right. Gravity will be removed completely, which is appropriate in my opinion. But really what's happening is, due to Archimedes' principle, whenever you have a rapid release of pressure, or really what's happening is the atmosphere that we live in is a fluid. And when you have a rapid release of that fluid, it's followed instantaneously by an instant increase in buoyancy. What does that mean? Simply put, it means everything will float. It means everything will immediately start to weigh less and less and less until it reaches equilibrium with the atmosphere and it just floats. Now, you combine that with the world storm and winds and stuff, and you get things getting sucked up into the sky. Let's see. Amillennialists believe that the end times encompass the time from Christ's ascension to the last day, and maintain that the mention of 1,000 years in the book of Revelation is meant to be taken metaphorically, not literally. A view that continues to cause divisions, unfortunately, within the Protestant Christianity. Now, the concept of 1,000 years, I will say this, right? I have found in my studies that it implies a very long period of time, like saying once in a blue moon or something like that, okay? Oh, Sammy Shaw just hooked me up. Hold on. Good vibes from Scotland. Good vibes from Scotland. I can't do it. Thank you, Sammy. All right, cool. Let's continue on. There's a range of eschatological beliefs in Protestant Christianity. Christian premillennialists. I'm going to skip some of this. All right. I think we get the point of that. Let's see. There is the belief that Christians will be summoned to heaven by Christ at the rapture, occurring before a great tribulation prophesied in Matthew. So I believe in the rapture. Okay, I teach about it all the time. I believe people are going to get sucked up into the sky, and that the sky god, Kronos, is going to open up his mouth, which is the firmament and the dome breaking open, and it will appear to be eating its own creation. Okay, that things will float. That's why it encourages you to flee to the mountains, go into your houses or whatever, like hold on, you know, because things will float. You don't want to get carried away, quite literally and actually and physically. End times may also refer to the passing of an age or a long period in the relationship between man and God. Adherents to this view cite the second epistle to Timothy and draw analogies to the late blah, 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 blah. That's quite boring. Post-exilic Hebrew books of prophecy, such as Daniel and Ezekiel, are given new interpretations in this Christian tradition, while apocalyptic forecasts appear to be blah, 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 blah. Okay, anyways, it's a bunch of bickering on how they interpret things, okay? Their hermeneutics and, you know, what they put into the text and what they take out of it. Okay, cool. Let's continue on. Religious movements which expect that the second coming of Christ will be a cataclysmic event are generally called Adventism. These have arisen throughout the Christian era, but are particularly common after the Protestant Reformation. Some people consider the second coming to be symbolic and to have already occurred in 1757. Like I said, cyclical is the key to understanding these things. Along with others, he developed a religious system around the second coming of Christ, disclosed by a new prophecy, special revelation not described in the Bible. The Millerites are diverse religious groups which similarly rely upon a special gift of interpretation for predicting the second coming. The difference between the 19th century Millerite and the Adventist movement and contemporary prophecy was that William Miller and his followers, based on biblical interpretation, predicted the time of the second coming to have occurred in 1844. Contemporary writing of the end time has suggested that the timetable will be triggered by future wars, moral catastrophes, etc. Seventh-day Adventists believe biblical prophecy to foretell an end-time scenario in which the United States works in conjunction with the Catholic Church, blah, blah, blah. I got to skip some of this. Some of this is just besides the point for me. Sorry. Preterists. So we already talked about preterism and how they believe that, you know, many of the end times prophecies have come true. I believe that that's true because it's cyclical. They will continue to come true time and time again. Let's see. Continuing on. There's like partial preterism, full preterism and stuff. It's really sad and unfortunate that Christianity, as the central point, has so many little pieces that have been broken off of it, or divisions, or denominations. I feel like that's just terribly sad. Dispensationalism. I might skip some of this. This is a bit too in-depth when it comes to Christianity. I kind of want to move on. But I do want to talk about the Great Disappointment. Where was that one? Premillennialism. Oh, here we go. The Great Disappointment. This guy right here. Check this out. This is the guy, right, that got all his followers, his cult members, hyped up that the world was coming to an end. William Miller predicted the end of the world in 1843, known as the Great Disappointment. Some of you will probably have your pictures put onto this Wikipedia article for future reference, okay? Because some people are predicting that, you know, a specific date that's up and coming, like so many people have, right? In 1843, William Miller made the first of several predictions that the world would end in only a few months. You can imagine all his adherents, right? Like just yelling at everyone that the world's going to end, not caring. Who knows what they were doing with their lives, their money, their savings, you know what I mean? As his predictions did not come true, referenced or referred to as the Great Disappointment, followers of Miller went on to found separate groups. The most successful of those was the Seventh-day Adventist group, right? So after that day that he told all his followers, this is when the world's going to end. Okay, I imagine he has like a Texas accent for some reason. When he told all of his followers that that's when the world would end, and the day came and the day left, you can imagine his followers immediately became very confused. started discussing about it with one another, trying to rationalize it, trying to really just make sense of it, when in reality the guy was wrong, dead wrong. So they started breaking off into their own little groups and subsections and stuff. Oh, an anti-5G hat? No, I am anti-5G. Saturn Rooster 81 says, JayDreamerZ, 1844 to 1981, Great Conjunction 137 is fine structure constant. Sweet, thank you. Members of the Baha'i faith believe Miller's interpretation of signs and dates of the coming of Jesus were, for the most part, correct. They believe that fulfillment of biblical prophecies of the coming Christ came through a forerunner of their own religion, the Bab. Bab? The Bab was an Iranian religious leader who founded Babism. Well, look at that. According to the Bab's word, the 4th of April, 1844, was the first day that the Spirit descended into his heart. All right, so anyways, there's a whole bunch of people that predict the end of the world all throughout time, right? And it's a great disappointment every single time. You need to learn to read the omens and the signs. Stop following after little sheep that rise up on their little soapboxes and platforms and tell you, that you can just screw around and screw off until a certain day, and then you can just get right with God, and then you can prepare. No, forget that. If you're not prepared already, heart, mind, and soul, you've got some work to do. That's my opinion. Okay, that's from me to you. Let's see. Let's continue on. Let's see. I think I'm going to move away. Oh, Jehovah's Witnesses. I love talking to Jehovah's Witnesses. Any of those people that go and knock on the doors and stuff like that, I love talking to them, because they're coming at me with some pretty strange things. They know I'm an outsider, so it's going to appear strange. So I equally come right back at them with the plasma apocalypse and the blue beam and cyclical cataclysms and stuff, and I am happy to blow their mind in return. I love talking to these people. But I will also say this, like the followers and adherents of the true religion, if I could even call it that, have no need to brag, have no need to boast, have no need to spread the word or anything. The word is evident within the heart of those who already know and already are good. Okay? The law is for evil people. That's it. Okay? Evil people don't know that they're evil, so they need the law. Good people don't. Good people don't need to be told the good news or whatever, because they already have it. It's already there. I mean, they'll probably listen because they're good, and they're probably like just continue to be good. But anyways, I don't want to harp on that too much. Jehovah's Witnesses believe Jesus Christ has been ruling in heaven. That's, from my opinion, that's not true. Jesus rules the underworld, from my opinion. Okay, I know there's many people think he went up into heaven or whatever, but I believe that Jesus, as the blue beam, is earth energy and is down inside the hollows of the earth, and that the underworld underneath us is going through their golden age, the end times of their end times golden age or whatever, where they experience the flood and all the stuff that we've already been through, and they're basically the opposite of us here on the surface. Anyways, they believe Jesus Christ has been ruling in heaven as king since 1914, a date that they believe was prophesied in the Bible. After that time period, a cleansing occurred, resulting in God's selection of the biblical students associated with Charles Taze Russell as his people in 1919. They also believe that the destruction of those who reject the Bible's message... Hold on. They believe that the destruction of those who reject the Bible's message... Let me tell you the Bible's message. It's real simple. I'll sum up the entire book. Be good. There you go. And thus, willfully refuse to obey God will shortly take place at Armageddon, ensuring that the beginning of the new earth society will be composed of willing subjects to that kingdom. The religion's doctrines surrounding 1914... Okay, this is starting to get boring again. The Watchtower. This whole Watchtower thing is all about watching for the sign, the main sign, which is the blue beam, the pillar of light that shoots up from the earth. And there will be many pillars of light, okay? There will be many Christs that rise up before the actual Christ, because it's fluid. That plasma that rises up from the earth, you have to think about it like it's water, okay? If water shoots up or wells up from within the earth, it'll come out first from the places that have the smallest, skinniest caves. The places with the largest, biggest caves, it will take the water a lot longer to come out. So all the little small Christs or lights or terrestrial plasma will be seen first. They'll start popping up all over the place. But the wise wait for the last one. The last to arrive is the king. Everybody shows up for the arrival of the king. What's up, Patricia? Welcome to my channel. High five. Now let's continue on. We're talking about Seventh-day Adventists, I believe. Claims about the no, we're talking about Jehovah's Witnesses. Sorry, Jehovah's Witnesses. Let's see. The last days, the destruction of worldly governments, yay, I support that, and the earthly resurrection of Jewish patriarchs were successfully abandoned. In 1922, the Society's principal magazine, The Watchtower, they're watching the tower, okay, the Dark Tower, which is Rupus Nigra. They're watching and waiting for it to blow up and to emit light, basically. The Watchtower describes its chronology as no stronger than its weakest link, but also claimed the chronological relationships to be of divine origin and divinely corroborated, in a class by itself. Indisputable, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to skip some of this. Let's see. I'm just looking for things that are of note to me personally. And remember, if you have a question for me, go ahead and type it into the chat. Okay? It is very possible that somebody said you worship a different Jesus than me. That is very possible. I believe many people create their very own Jesus in their minds, and they follow after that. I'm not saying you do. I'm just saying I probably do worship a different Jesus than you. Let's see. This dude don't know what he talking about. Oh, okay. Well, that sounds intellectual. Stop misleading people. I'm out. Oh my God. See, this is what religion does to people. I'm just reading some of the troll comments. Thank you all. You guys deleted them already, but I have the ability to bring them back up and read them. Yeah, like when people say stuff like that, this dude don't know what he's talking about. Stop misleading people. That is a spirit of evil to me personally. Okay, that's something where people are all in their feelings and they just come in and all they know how to do is be bullies. They turn into bullies. You can quickly see the spirit of evil that wells up within a person when they come against somebody so harsh, so evil. They start name calling usually, okay? But to me, it's just very odd. But thank you so much for exposing your very own energy and the truth of who you are. You know what I mean? Now that's fine. Like I expect that. The world is mostly satanic for me personally. I know most people are trolls. I'm thankful that I've got so many good people in the chat constantly. And I pat myself on the back and I thank myself for suffering years and years and years of having to, go through my own chat after every single video and block all the bad people or whatever. And I also thank you guys for being such lights. You guys are lights in my chat. I appreciate it. Doctor Who says American Gods had a good scene about the Jesus concept being diverse to the individuals and a cultural lens. I have not actually seen that show, but it looks interesting. Let's see. The Proverbs 4:18 says here, damn, stop it. Hold on. Where'd it go? God, man, this technology is crazy. Oh, here it is. Proverbs 4:18 says, the path of the righteous one is like the bright light that is getting lighter and lighter until the day is firmly established. The darker the times get, the brighter our light shines. And that's another thing too, is that all these people full of satanic evil energy, right? They're real quick to try to change your energy. That's how they convert people. They don't need to go knock on your door and tell you the good news of Satan or anything. They just need to piss you off. They just need to get your energy low so that you vibe at a lower frequency and you're bass like their bass. That's how they recruit people. They don't care what you believe in. They don't care what words you use. They just want you to screw up and be evil and, do with the things that they do. Benjamin Anthony says, the trolls will always be here, brother. I deal with them all the time. Good thing we have thick skin. Well, guess what? One day, the trolls of the modern world will probably be eaten by actual physical, literal trolls that will return to this world when gigantism is reintroduced. So, have fun with that. All right, sweet. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you guys' support in the chat. All right, let me continue on here. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, aka Mormons, LDS. Members of this church believe that there will be a second coming of Jesus to the earth at some point in time in the future. The LDS Church and its leaders do not make any predictions of the date of the second coming. Good for them. According to the church doctrine, the true gospel, or good news, will be taught in all parts of the world prior to the second coming. See, this is something I sort of, I mean, I agree, but I also disagree. I don't believe that the true gospel needs to be taught, except for to evil people. Okay, it doesn't need to be taught to people who are already good. They also believe that there will be increasing war, earthquakes, hurricanes, man-made disasters prior to the second coming. I agree with that. Disasters of all kinds will happen before Christ comes. I agree with that. Upon the return of Jesus Christ, all people will be resurrected, the righteous in a first resurrection and the unrighteous in a second later resurrection. Christ shall reign for a period of 1,000 years, in which there will be a final war. Okay? So zombies and stuff like that. Again, realized eschatology. Realized eschatology is a Christian eschatological theory that holds that the eschatological passages in the New Testament do not refer to the future, but instead refer to the ministry of Jesus and his lasting legacy. Okay. All right. Islam. We're finally out of Christianity. Let's talk about Islam. Now, Islam's got some cool prophecies that I want to discuss with you. Muslims believe that there are 3 periods before the Day of Judgment, with some debate as to whether these periods could overlap. The Sunnis believe that the dead will rise. That the dead will then stand in a grand assembly, same thing, awaiting a scroll detailing their righteous deeds, sinful acts, and ultimate judgment. Muhammad, their prophet, will be the first to be resurrected. Punishments will include adab, or severe pain, and embarrassment, and khizi, or shame. Let me explain some of this. I believe that this stuff will happen to many. Okay? So these punishments within Islam during the Day of Judgment include things like severe pain. Many people will experience severe pain. There will be an atmospheric depressurization, which is going to burst many people's sinuses, causing nosebleeds and ear bleeds and even bleeding from your eyes for some people. It will be different depending upon where you are in the world and what your physiology is like and stuff like that. But there's also going to be other kinds of pain. There's different gases that are released from within the earth in mass. Some of those gases can cause welts and boils and, it can hurt your skin, just like they use in gas warfare in more today. And shame. Why would people experience shame, right? It's shame that is forced upon them. Why? Because it's a sudden realization as the atmosphere is electrically amplified and their synapses are firing off and they start being able to use more and more and more of their brain. And then they start realizing they're coming face to face with themselves. They're looking in the mirror. All their dark deeds are suddenly exposed as their memories come flooding back. Shame. For some. There will also be a punishment of the grave between death and the resurrection. Several Sunni scholars explain some of the signs metaphorically. Travis is in the chat and says, JayDreamer, statistically speaking, the haters are more likely to comment on the video than a feller who agrees with everything. Well, that's fine. I know. We don't have a whole lot of haters. I just, I like to just let people know I'm the type who is meek and humble, yet very strong. I stand my ground. And my ground that I stand is whenever it comes to bullying and evil and satanic things, especially whenever they go around trying to use spells and try to low-key insult people or, you know what I mean? I recognize all of those weak magical crafts. And I'm much stronger than that. Anyways, let's continue on. We're talking about Islam now. The signs of the coming of the end time are divided into major and minor signs. So, I love talking about the omens. I love talking about the signs. Let's see what the Muslims say we should look for. One moment. Following the second period. The third is said to be marked by 10 major signs known as the Alamatu Sa'a al-Kubra, the major signs of the end. Sorry, excuse me. Number 1, a huge black cloud of smoke, dukhan, will cover the earth. That's a pretty big sign. Like I said, I equate this whole smoke to the vapor canopy. Okay. And the vapor canopy, I've heard a lot of people talk about the vapor canopy, but not a lot of people suggest where it even comes from. How is the vapor canopy created? I'll tell you a very simple, what I believe to be reasonable and rational explanation for the vapor canopy. The atmosphere in this closed system suddenly depressurizes, and it rips the atmosphere apart very quickly, and it causes vapor, which is exactly what happens in an airplane when the cabin depressurizes at high altitudes. You'll see clouds suddenly appear in the cabin. Muslims believe, in general, there will be 3 sinkings of the earth. One in the east, one sinking of the earth in the west, and one sinking of the earth in Arabia or Arabia. Now, this liquefaction, okay? This is happening already. There's little tiny sinkings that are happening that are omens right now. They're called sinkholes. They're opening up all around the world. They're in the news every single week. Gigantic, large holes are opening up as the surface is starting to fall down into hell. Okay, I'm just being descriptive, but for a reason. The false Messiah, Antichrist, Masih ad-Dajjal, shall appear with the great powers as a one-eyed man. A one-eyed man shall show up within Sunni Islam, right? This is one of the signs that people should look for. Now, to me, this is Odin. This is the eye in the sky. This is Nibiru. This is the circular shape that lights up red that people see in the sky, which is what I call the apex dome, or the apex of the dome. Let's read that one again. Number 5. Islam. The false Messiah, Antichrist, shall appear with great powers as a one-eyed man, with his right eye blind and deformed like a grape. Although believers will not be deceived, he will claim to be God, to hold the keys to heaven and hell, and will lead many people astray. In reality, this heaven is hell, and his hell is heaven. Wow, didn't we just say that? Right? Everything's flipped upside down. Everything's inverted. The Dajjal will be followed by 70,000 Jews of Isfahan wearing Persian shawls. The return of Isa. Now, Isa is actually closer to his actual name, Jesus, than Jesus is, just so you know. Okay, so like Islam has it more correct than Christianity does. This word right here, and everybody that puts all this import on saying the actual literal, consonants and vowels in the form that they put on paper, you're all wrong. I'm sorry, but that's just the reality of it, okay? The Hebrew, even if Jesus was a human being that lived 2,000 years ago, etc., Jew, Hebrew, his name's not Jesus. It would not even have been Jesus, okay? And the Bible tells you what his name is because it tells you the meaning of the name, which it does quite often. And it means Yahweh will save, or the salvation of Yahweh, possibly from Yahweh, I don't know. But that means his real name would be closer to Yahweh-Shah, which is Joshua, not Jesus. The return of Isha, right? The salvation portion is Shah. Okay, that's really where that comes from. Shah. Some people say Shua, but Shua can also have a negative connotation. I believe it's Shah. Anyways, the return of Jesus from the fourth sky to kill the Dajjal. Okay, so we have the Christ and the Antichrist. I'm going to share my own 2 cents on what I believe this is, okay? Many people ask me, who do you think the Christ is? Who do you think the Antichrist is? The Christ, for me, is earth energy, the light of the world. World energy, world light, world plasma, terrestrial plasma that shoots up and erupts out of caves and mountains and stuff as pillars, columns, rods, beams of light that shoot high up into the sky and then spread their arms out like a cosmic bird or a person on a tree or a cross or whatever. And then versus the fake light, the Antichrist, which is the sun, which is what you guys call the sun. It's a false sun. That's not the sun of anything except for bad. It's not life-giving, okay? Unless you use photosynthesis or something. The sun also is turning on you. I promise you, the sun's going to turn on you. It already is. It microwaves your body, okay? People get sunburned. This other light, this terrestrial light, doesn't give you sunburns or anything like that. But the sun is going to turn blue. Daylight will turn blue, and that's when it will be its hottest, and it will actually, that's the abomination that causes desolation from my perspective, okay? The sun is going to transgress its northern tropics boundary as it returns to the center of the world, and it will settle over Mount Meru, Rupus Nigra, and it will try to, or appear to be, taking the throne of God, or the place where that true life-giving energy comes up and is born out of. All right. Wyatt M. Clark's in the chat says, JayDreamerZ, have you read or heard the Holy Megillah, Nazarene Bible of the Essene Way? I have not. I even went to a Nazarene Bible college for a little bit. The Holy Megillah. Sounds familiar. Maybe I just forgot. I don't know. But thank you. All right. The Yajuj and Majuj. We're in Islam, learning the signs, the omens of the apocalypse from the Islamic people now. Yajuj and Majuj. Gog and Magog. Also, if you guys ever wonder why I say certain words differently, it's just because I'm in the habit of exercising proper speech. That's all. Okay. So some people say it one way, some people say it another way. Yajuj and Majuj, Gog and Magog, the Japhetic tribe of vicious beings. These are real. I'm so excited. I can't wait for Gog and Magog to come. I mean, you know, I'll have to deal with that when the time comes, but this is all a part of the cleansing. Gog and Magog, a tribe of vicious beings who have been imprisoned by Dul Karnain, which means the two-horned one, okay? Satan, will break out. Break out of what? The underworld, the hollow earth that like nobody believes in, because the earth's solid all the way down and then it's just got a liquid, ball down there or whatever. Nah. The earth is a house, okay? And there's people live in the house. Vicious beings who will be released. They will break out from within the earth. They will ravage the earth, drink all the water of Lake Tiberias, and kill all believers in their way. Isha, Imam al-Mahdi, and the believers with them will go to the top of a mountain. I wonder which one that could be. And pray for the destruction of Gog and Magog. God eventually will send disease and worms to wipe them out. Now, is it actual worms or is it worms of plasma? I don't know. The sun will rise from the west. The sun will rise from the west because all the light in the heavens will switch directions because we'll go through a polarity flip. The Dabat al-Ard, or beast of the earth, will come out of the ground to talk to people. This is also in your book of Revelation. It turns out you guys, Christians have a lot more in common with Islam than you might think. They're still going to argue with each other. Yeah, but you're just copying us, and no, you're copying us or whatever. Like, Jesus, man, can't you guys shake hands and, look at what you have in common? The Dabat al-Ard, or the beast of the earth, will come out of the ground to talk to people. This is word for word also described in the book of Revelation. The beast is described as, I'm telling you right now, the beast is in the north. I've done a decode on Revelation, but just in short, I'll tell you. The beast rises up from the waters of the ocean, the Arctic Ocean. The beast is comprised of 7 plasma volcanoes, or 7 mountains, lands that rise up or appear to be rising up out of the ocean in the Arctic. And this is paradise returning. Okay, this is the land of paradise. This is the antenna of the earth. That antenna is full of negative frequencies right now because Satan runs the earth. Bad energy runs the earth. Entropy runs this world. We have a lack of good life-giving energy. So that antenna is putting out negative and amplifying negativity. But that antenna will change as it will be taken over or retaken by Jesus, basically. It was written, says JayDreamerZ, have you ever meet any DMT entities? No, I don't do DMT. I've never had a desire to do anything like that. I've not been curious like what it might be like or whatever, but my soul's way too powerful. I feel, okay, since you're asking about it, all right? I know people do all kinds of different kinds of drugs and stuff, but no, I've never done DMT or anything like that, and I don't intend on it. Like, my mind's already blown enough from revelations and from insight and so many other things. Like, I can barely hold on to the things that have been given to me. I don't need all that extra stuff at this point in time. The second blow of the trumpet will be sounded. The dead will return to life, and a fire will come out of Yemen that shall gather all hold on. A fire will come out of Yemen that shall gather all to Mashar al-Qiyamah, the gathering for judgment. So some sort of fire will come up out of the land, and it will be a gathering. People will gather to this fire, to this light, to this pillar, to this pole. They'll meet at the pole, right? They'll meet at the post. They'll all go to the bar together. All right, let's look at Shia within Islam. Shia belief systems. Many of the signs shown above are shared by both Sunni and Shia beliefs, and some exceptions. Concepts and terminology in Shia eschatology include Mi'ad and the occultation. In 12-verse Shia narrations about the last days, the literature largely revolves around Muhammad al-Mahdi, who is considered by many beliefs to be the true 12th appointed successor to Muhammad. Okay, personally, I don't really care about the successors and the bloodlines and all that type of stuff because I don't believe in Muhammad. Okay, I know it's the same thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I believe in Muhammad, but my Muhammad is different than the traditional Muhammad that other people believe in, the human being that was received revelation in a cave and all that stuff. I believe Muhammad represents deeper truths. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. Muhammad al-Mahdi, so there'll be this reincarnation of a Muhammad type of person, basically, but it's not really a person. Will help mankind against the deception by the Dajjal, who will try to get people into a new world religion, which is called the Great Deception. Now, I already know that there's going to be a quote-unquote new world religion. There will be eyes will be opened across the world. And when you have telepathy and we're all having all things in common and stuff, then yes, there will be a new spiritual way. Okay? I don't like the word religion at all. I don't have a religion. I don't believe in religion. I don't follow religion. I see religion as the enemy to spirituality or spirit. Okay? Religion to me is just a falsehood, or it falls short. Ahmadiyya is considered distinct from mainstream Islam. In its writing, the present age has been witness to the evil of man and wrath of God with war and natural disaster. I've seen that. Ghulam Ahmad is seen as the promised Messiah and the Mahdi, fulfilling Islamic and biblical prophecies as well as scriptures of other religions and in Hinduism. His teaching will establish spiritual reform, blah, blah, blah. All right, let's skip forward a bit here. All right, Baha'i. Let's check out Baha'i faith. Here's a Baha'i temple. Looks pretty cool, like a flower or something. In the Baha'i faith, creation has neither a beginning nor an end. Okay, cyclical. I like that. Baha'i is regarded as regards the eschatologies of other religions as symbolic. In part, I would agree. In Baha'i belief, human time is marked by a series of progressive revelations in which successive messengers or prophets come from God. Okay, the coming of each of these messengers is seen as the day of judgment to the adherents of the previous religion, who may also choose to accept the new message and enter into the heaven or the belief, or denounce the new messenger and enter into the hell of denial. See, that's a lot of internalizing, you know, which the kingdom of heaven is within you, so you can internalize, and that works too. Okay, but I'm not a big fan personally of internalizing the apocalypse. Jesus, man. Like, it's the apocalypse. It's a physical event that actually happens. Okay? So when I tell people about it in the future after the apocalypse, and I'm telling stories of this weird world that we live in today, because I'll be a storyteller, and I say, yeah, the walls came crumbling down because the earth shook and stuff. If one of my students goes off and I hear them telling this story and is like, yeah, I think what he meant by that was like, it was like his internal walls, you know, it was like all his securities on the inside, and he just, you know, he lost hope at that point in time. No, I'm going to tell them wrong. Stop doing that. The actual physical walls to my apartment that I live in shook and fell down. And I was scared, actually. Okay, this wasn't like an internal battle I was struggling with. Like, that's the whole 21 Pilots. I don't know if you guys ever listen to them, but everyone says that that's the theme to all of their songs is like some guy's internal struggles within himself. I doubt it. Anyways, let's continue on. Let's see what else we got here. Rastafarianism. Let's talk about Rastafari, right? Or if you believe in the spaghetti god, Pastafarianism, right? Which I did a whole video on that, which I had fun doing. Okay, but it's just as real as the other quote unquote religions, okay? And there's a lot of truth to it. Rastafari have a unique interpretation of the end times based on the Old Testament and the Book of Revelation. They believe Ethiopian Emperor Haile Selassie I to be God incarnate, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Okay, hold on. I'm going to comment on all this. I don't believe God incarnates my God that I believe in. I believe God is omnipresent. Okay, so that's one of my qualifiers for what I consider to be God. Okay, omnipresent, everywhere. And therefore, a being that is everywhere doesn't just incarnate into one individual, but is all individuals all over the place, everywhere. That's just my perspective. So all this whole incarnating into the body of this one baby that grows up or whatever, okay, there's truth to that, but I don't know. I can't get on board with an omnipresent being limited. They saw the crowning of this person as a fulfillment of their prophecy. All right, let's continue on. Cyclic cosmology. Hinduism. Let's talk. So how do Hindu people, how do they believe the end of the world will happen? Well, the Vaishnavite tradition links contemporary Hindu eschatology to the figure of Kalki, the 10th and last avatar of Vishnu. Now, from my perspective, Vishnu, there's three main gods within Hinduism. There's many, many different subordinate gods or whatever. But there is Brahma, the creator god. There is Shiva, the destroyer and the meditator, who is now asleep, just like Cthulhu, and waiting to be awakened to destroy the world. And then there is Vishnu, which is the blue beam that shoots up like an arrow from the center of the world. All right, so Kalki is the personification of Vishnu, the 10th and last one. This is exactly like Doctor Who, okay? All these people that are like, yeah, it's the 12th Prophet Muhammad, it's the 10th Vishnu or whatever. Like, this is exactly like Doctor Who, okay? Your Doctor Who is just these stories retold and cartoonified. Charles, what's up, Charles? Charles Harper, high five, welcome. Many Hindus believe that before the age draws to a close, Kalki will reincarnate as Shiva and simultaneously dissolve and regenerate the universe. Yes, Shiva, which is very close to Shua, right? Yahweh Shua, right? Shiva. Anyways, Shiva is red plasma that is just laying in wait beyond the dome right now to get into this world. In Hindu eschatology, time is cyclical and consists of kalpas. That's how they, segment time. Each one lasts 4.1 to 8.2 billion years. I disagree with how the Hindus came up with the time cycle, okay? Like I said, time can speed up and time can slow down, which is a period of one full day and night for Brahma, right? So these gods or whatever, they experience time differently. Just like if you lived within the earth right now, you would experience time much different than us on the surface who are experiencing time at a quickened rate. All right. Time changes. It's not constant and it's not dependable. All right. You step into the wrong room of reality, and when you go back to the other room, time will have changed. All right. Within a kalpa, there are periods of creation, preservation, and decline, as it should be. Everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? After this larger cycle, all of creation will contract to a singularity, and then again will expand from the single point as the ages continue to a religious fractal pattern. So I talk about that whole singularity as the star that's born within Mount Meru, right? One moment. 1 second. I'm just trying to read this comment. Oh, you're teaching things which you ought not. Okay, says who? My mom? What are you, my dad? Mad Mardigan? Damn, that's too bad. You got a cool name from a cool movie, Willow, and you're a dick. You come in my chat and tell me I'm teaching things which I ought not. Who are you? You're nobody to tell me that, okay? You have no power over me. You don't control me whatsoever. So you have no right to say that. I mean, you do have a right. You could say whatever you want to, but you're going to get blocked by all the cool people in my chat. See, this is exactly what I'm saying. People don't think. They don't rationalize. They don't try to engage in dialogue. They don't try to engage in conversation or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just you're exposing your own energy, which seems satanic and evil. All right, next up. Oh, so we talked about the singularity resurfacing in Hinduism. Within the current Kalpa, or time period, there are 4 epochs that encompass the cycle. They progress from a beginning of complete purity to a descent into total corruption. The last of the 4 ages is the worst. It's called the Kali Yuga, which most Hindus believe is the current time, characterized by quarreling, hypocrisy, just like you saw that comment in the chat, hypocrisy, impiety, violence, and decay. The 4 pillars. That also comes up time and time again, right? The 4 pillars. The 4 pillars of Dharma will be reduced to 1. Who is that? Silent Shadow 6, USMC 8541. Hey, thank you so much. He says great stuff. The 4 pillars of Dharma will be reduced to 1, the truth being all that remains, as it is written in the Gita. The Gita is sort of like, Hinduism scripture. Hold up. The translation here is, O descendant of Bharata, whenever there is a decline of religion and an increase in irreligion, at that time I manifest my eternally perfect form in this mundane world. That's beautiful. Let's see. I'll probably have to go back and read the chat. I'm not sure what's going on in the chat right now. Hopefully it's all kosher. All right. At this time of chaos, the final avatar, Kalki, endowed with 8 superhuman faculties, will appear on a white horse. Once again, we have the appearance of a white horse, right? I did a study on the word horse, the etymology of horse. It's very interesting. Essentially, I found that it equates to the word hand, okay? Because a horse kind of looks like a hand, okay? I don't want to get too deep into that. But it's interesting. All of these savior type figures ride a white horse in the sky, a flying white horse, Pegasus, etc., right? Kalki will amass an army to establish righteousness upon the earth and leave the minds of the people as pure as crystal. Yes, that's the great revelation and the awakening and enlightenment, etc. At the completion of the Kali Yuga, the next Yuga cycle will begin with a new Satya Yuga, in which all will once again be righteous with the reestablishment of Dharma, or righteousness. This, in turn, will be followed by epochs of the Treta Yuga, Dvarpa Yuga, and again another Kali Yuga. It's cyclical, right? This cycle, it's just like a pendulum swinging back and forth, right? This cycle will then repeat until the larger cycle of existence under Brahma returns to the singularity. Basically, we wake up. Everything wakes up. Illusion, this dream that we're living in within a dream, it all ceases to be because the dreams just fade away and disappear, and reality, if it is a dream, will just disappear one day. That's the great apocalypse where everyone just thinks everything disappears, okay? That's the ultimate waking up of the higher form. And a new universe is born. The cycle of birth, growth, and decay, and the renewal of the individual level finds its echo in the cosmic order, yet is affected by vagaries of divine intervention in Vaishnavite beliefs. All right, let's check out Buddhism. Buddhism, what is the end of the world according to Buddhists, right? Seems sort of contradictory, but let's check it out. There is no classic account of beginning or end within Buddhism. Masao Abe attributes this to the essence of God. History is embedded in the continuing process of samsara, or the beginningless and endless cycles of birth, death, and rebirth. Buddhists believe that there is an end to things, but it is not final because they are bound to be born again. I vibe with this. However, the writers of Mahayana Buddhist scriptures establish a specific end time account in Buddhist traditions. This describes the return of Maitreya Buddha, right? It's sort of their Christ-like figure, who would bring about an end to the world. This constitutes one of the 2 major branches of Buddhist eschatology, with the other being the Sermon of the 7 Sons. There's the sons. There's the different sons appearing once again. This is also a very interesting read. Let me just actually read this real quick. Sermon of the Seven Sons. Buddhist eschatology, like many facets of modern Buddhist practice and belief, came into existence during its development in China, and that's where it started. It doesn't give us much on that. We'll come back to that. All right, so end time in Buddhism could also involve a cultural eschatology covering final things, which include the idea that Sakyamuni Buddha's Dharma will also come to an end. So basically the good, it's all cyclical. That's all it's saying, okay? Maitreya, you may have heard of this name before. So who is Maitreya? We'll take a look at that right now. Benjamin Anthony just showed up in my chat with $5. Hey, thank you. High five. He says, I feel Hinduism is a worldview very similar to ours in the Good Vibe Tribe. Pretty cool. I like that. Thank you for sharing, Benjamin. Now, Maitreya, who is this person? Maitreya, the Buddha, described his teachings disappearing 5,000 years from when he preached them. If those teachings are about being righteous and good and loving and kind to people, then yes, people are forgetting that and have pretty much all but, they just forgot it all. Corresponding approximately to the year 4,300 since he was born in 623 CE. I disagree with that because, like I said, you can't figure out what time we're even in right now. At this time, knowledge of Dharma will be lost as well. The last of his relics will be gathered in Bodh Gaya and cremated. There will be a new era in which the next Buddha, Maitreya, will be born, or will appear, but it will be preceded by the degeneration of human society. Humans become degenerate. Okay, degenerates. Generate meaning able to generate, meaning they can't procreate, meaning generation as in life, meaning giving life to the world. They can't, they take it. Okay, this will be a period of greed, lust, poverty, ill will, violence, murder, impiety, physical weakness, sexual depravity, and societal collapse. And even the Buddha himself will be forgotten. I want to say thank you to everybody. Like whenever people, I don't know what's up with the TV. Whenever people donate and you guys, it highlights all your little comments and saying, hey, thanks for the support and stuff. That's cool. I like seeing that. This will be a period of greed. Oh, we read that. This will be followed by the coming of Maitreya. Maitreya, when the teachings of Dharma are forgotten. Dharma is like righteousness, okay? Maitreya was the first bodhisattva around whom a cult developed in approximately the 3rd century CE, which is around the exact same time that all of these different Christian councils were being headed up by the leaders around the Mediterranean. The earliest known mention of Maitreya occurs in the Kakavati or Sihanada Sutta. In it, Gautama Buddha predicted his teachings of Dharma would be forgotten 5,000 years later. Here's what he says. At that period, when we are today pretty much, brethren, there will arise in the world an exalted one, named Maitreya, fully awakened, abounding in wisdom and goodness, happy with knowledge of the worlds, unsurpassed as a guide to mortals willing to be led, a teacher for gods and men, an exalted one, a Buddha, even as I am now. He by himself will thoroughly know and see, as if it were face to face, this universe, with its worlds of spirits, its Brahmas and its Maras, and its world of recluses and Brahmins, of princes and peoples, even as I now myself thoroughly know and see them. So this is an entity of complete knowledge, okay? Which, I vibe with that. The text then foretells the birth of Maitreya Buddha in the city of Ketumati in the present-day Benares, whose king will be blah, blah, blah. Let's see. All right, I'm going to skip forward a little bit. Maitreya will attain Bodhi. What is Bodhi? Let's check it out. The English term enlightenment, basically. In 7 days, he'll achieve Bodhi, right? Because the apocalypse lasts for 7 days. The minimum period by virtue of his many lifetimes of preparation. Once Buddha, he will rule over the Pure Land, an earthly paradise. Okay, sweet. Well, this is the circular island at the center of the world, Hyperborea, the Garden of Eden, and the Pure Land, the Hesperides, etc. And this light will rule over it. Right? Same thing about Jesus and the New Jerusalem. Okay? sometimes associated with the Indian city of Varanasi or Benares in present-day wherever. I don't think so. I think it's at the North Pole. All right, let me continue on. Oh, Western Paradise. Hold on. Let me read this part. In one aspect of Buddhism, the Buddha presides over Sukhavati, more popularly known as the Western Paradise. Well, that's interesting. That's not the United States or anything, okay? There's no such thing as East that way and West that way. East is up, West is down. The Western Paradise is the extreme ends of the earth before you go down into the earth, which is at the North Pole. Silent Shadow 6, USMC 8541, just gave me $20 and says, take your son out for ice cream. I will. Thank you. Oh my God, I know the spot too. Thank you so much. That'll be a nice memory. Man, that's cool. All right, let's continue on. A notable teaching that he will rediscover is that of the 10 non-virtuous deeds: killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, divisive speech, abusive speech, idle speech, covetousness, harmful intent, and wrong views. Good. Get rid of those. The 10 virtuous deeds will replace them with the abandonment of each of these practices. And here's a quote. The Lord replied, damn it. The Lord replied, Maitreya, the best of men, will then leave the Tusita, heavens, and go for his last rebirth. As soon as he is born, he will walk 7 steps forward, and where he puts down his feet, a jewel or a lotus will spring up. He will raise his eyes to the 10 directions and will speak these words. This is my last birth. There will be no rebirth after this one. Never will I come back up here, but all pure I shall win nirvana. Right? This is state of enlightenment or whatever. All right. Maitreya currently resides in Tushita, but will come to... Where is Tushita? Let me see that. One sec. Where is Tushita? I lost it. Maitreya. Oh, Tushita. Here it is. All right. So, damn, I can't see it. It's cut off. Why is it cut off? Located between Yama and Heaven. I don't know. Anyways, let's continue on. Let's see. I'm just going to skip on forward here. I think that's pretty good. Thanks again, everybody, for your support in the chat. Let's see. Jesus is the only way to go. Stop creating your own God. Oh, wow. Look at Laura D. She's so wise in her own eyes. Stop creating my own God. You are not a God. Wow. Like I ever said I was. Listen to the evil that comes from these people. Come back to Christ. Yeah, I don't want your Christ. Your Christ is Lucifer. Stop spreading an antichrist rhetoric. I will pray that your eyes are open. If you're praying to Satan. So don't do that on my behalf. I'm good. Okay. Your prayers are weak compared to those of the saints. Okay. It's so funny. There's people that think that they're Christians and they're really Satan worshipers. All right. Let's continue on. Let's see. Scooby-Doo. Sermon of the Seven Sons. All right. This is what we wanted to check out. The Sermon of the Seven Sons. In his Sermon of the Seven Sons, the Buddha describes the ultimate fate of the earth in an apocalypse characterized by the consequent appearance of 7 suns in the sky. How many planets are up there moving around right now? Right? I know some people might say 9. Each causing progressive ruin until the planet is destroyed. So these 7 suns start ruining the earth. Okay, so there's another connection. Like I was saying, the sun is the Antichrist and it will burn the earth. Mad Pax gave me $5 in the chat. Look up Satan's Little Season or Short Season. Yes, good idea. What's up, Stephanie McGuire? Good to see you. Donut, Kimberly F. I see you guys. All right, let me continue on. The Sermon of the Seven Sons. So there will be these 7 suns that appear in the sky. And each causes progressive ruin until the planet is destroyed. Now, there are 7 mountains at the North Pole, as I've talked about, that produce their own lights. 7 suns, 7 lights, the beast that rises up out of the ocean, etc. It says here, all things are impermanent. Nothing is permanent. All aspects of existence are unstable and non-eternal. That's because it's all Maya. It's all illusion, okay? Beings will become so weary and disgusted with the constituent things that they will seek emancipation from them more quickly. There will come a season, O monks, when after hundreds of thousands of years, rains will cease. All seedlings, all vegetation, all plants, grasses, and trees will dry up and cease to be. There comes another season after a great lapse of time when a second sun will appear. Now all brooks and ponds will vanish and they will cease to be. Thank you guys so much for all of your support in the chat. I really love all your positive energy. UFO energy, that's cool. I like that name. All right, the canon goes on to describe the progressive destruction of each sun. Okay, to me, these are the 7 trumpets that are being blasted, by the angels. The third sun will dry the Ganges River and the other rivers, while the fourth sun will cause the lakes to evaporate. The fifth will dry the oceans. There's another removal of the oceans. I've talked about that many times. The oceans, you might want to go check them out real quick, if you've never seen the ocean before, because one day it will be gone. Okay? The oceans were quickly added to this world during an apocalyptic cycle. They will be in turn quickly removed by another apocalyptic cycle. Hold on. Oh, okay. Well, listen, if you're in the chat, why don't you just go? I mean, I can't really block these people because I got the chat popped out. I'll go back and block you, okay? Have fun trolling while you can. I'll get you next time, Gadget. All right, let's get back to the teachings here. Now, here's the quote. Again, after a vast period of time, a sixth sun will appear, and it will bake the earth. This is the blue sun that I was talking about. This is the blue star Kachina. It will bake the earth, even as a pot is baked by a potter. Do you think this might cause desolation? I do. All the mountains will reek, that means smell bad, because of the gases that are being released up from the earth, and send up clouds of smoke. Another great interval, a seventh sun will appear, and the earth will blaze with fire. Hold on, let me highlight that. The earth will blaze with fire until it becomes one mass of flame. The mountains will be consumed. A spark will be carried on the wind and go to the worlds of God. Thus, monks, all things will burn, perish, and exist no more except those who have seen the path, the wise. The sermon completes with the earth immersed into an extensive holocaust. The Pali Canon does not indicate when this will happen relative to Maitreya's coming. Let's check out Norse mythology, shall we? Hey, Serious B's in the chat and just hooked me up with $10. Thank you. I'm poor, so it makes me happy whenever I get little donations. Thank you. I think of all the things I'm going to use on that. Thank you. Especially gas and paying bills and everything. Makes my life easier. Thank you so much. All right, Norse mythology. Let's check out Norse. Norse means north, okay? I love it. I vibe with Norse stuff so much. You have no idea. I rock out to so much Norse music. You guys just have no idea. Here's Odin fighting his old nemesis Fenrir, which is the wolf, which is a type of Mount Meru. What else we got? Ragnarok. We'll talk about Surtr. We'll talk about Ragnarok. All right, Norse mythology. You guys are great. I love you guys in the chat. Norse mythology depicts the end of days as Ragnarok. Old Norse term that's translatable as twilight of the gods, right? Twilight is neither light nor dark, right? This is the in-between times. This is the neutral point of a polarity shift. It will be heralded, or the omens will come before, by a devastation known as Fimbulvetr, which will seize Midgard, the middle of the world, the North Pole, in cold and darkness. Hold on, I got to comment on this. I have done a great video about this concept of Fimbulvetr, or the Great Winter, Fimbulvetr, however you want to pronounce it, okay? I believe that actually is not on the way, okay? I believe Fimbulvetr comes every other cycle, and it precedes the Great Flood. All right, so that's my theory on that. What precedes this plasma coming down and the oceans being removed is fire, or heavenly fire. Okay. That's not to say that before it happens, there won't be, floodings and hurricanes and world storms and all kinds of stuff, right? Yes. But Fimbulvinter is no joke. All right. That's why I'm so thankful that we're going through the fire by apocalypse, or the apocalypse trial by fire, rather than the apocalypse trial through water. The water one sucks. I don't like the cold. Okay. I hate cold. I don't like being cold. And Fimbulvinter lasts 7 years, and it's serious cold that just kills just most people. All right. And there's good reason for that. It's because the sun gets a lot colder and stuff. But anyways, Midgard will seize Midgard in cold and darkness. The sun and the moon will disappear from the sky, and poison will fill the air. Those are different gases that have been released in mass, and huge clouds of gases traveling around before it becomes homogenized once again into breathable air. The dead will rise from the ground, and there will be widespread despair. Then there will be a battle between, on the one hand, the gods with the Azir, the Vanir, and Einherjar, led by Odin. And on the other hand, the forces of chaos, including the fire giants, the Jotun, led by Loki. And the fighting Odin will be swallowed whole by his old nemesis Fenrir. The god Freyr fights Surtur, but loses. Vidar, son of Odin, or Audun, will then avenge his father by ripping Fenrir's jaws apart. This is the split mountain being split. Okay, this is Jesus and the Mount of Olives splitting. Will then avenge his father by ripping Fenrir's jaws, stabbing the wolf in the heart with his spear. It will be a spear that comes right up out of Fenrir's mouth. The serpent, Jormungandr, that's the plasma sheath that goes around paradise, or the Garden of Eden, right? It's the fiery sword that turns every which way. It's just plasma that's moving around that whole island in a dome. The serpent Jormungandr will open its gaping jaw, or maw, and be met in combat by Thor, right? Which means tower. Thor is the tower. He's the dark tower. He's the tower of electricity. He's the mountain of plasma. Thor, also the son of Odin, will defeat the serpent, only to take 9 steps forward before collapsing of his own death. What's going on? We saw this again in Buddhism, right? The Buddha takes, 7 steps or whatever, taking all these steps and then suddenly collapsing. Isn't there a movie about that? Somebody gets like 5-finger death punch or something, and then after they take a certain amount of steps, they die, right? That sounds familiar. I don't know. I'm sure I've come across that. Benjamin Anthony's in the chat and says, JayDreamerZ, Zend Avesta also covers the Fimbulvetr, and I agree happened pre-flood, before the deluge. This is exactly what they said. It's our history. Sweet. That's good confirmation. All right, cool. After this, people will flee their homes as the sun blackens. Okay, like I said, that sun, not reliable. Okay, that's the false sun. The earth sinks into the sea. That's due to liquefaction, like I said. And the water's being introduced, right? The stars will vanish. Steam will rise. Well, that's interesting, right? Steam. The cloud that covers the earth, the smoke or whatever. Steam will rise. Flames will touch the heavens. Those are the pillars of light. This conflict will result in the deaths of most of the major gods and forces of chaos. Most of those gods die. Let me tell you why. Because it's referencing, not all this stuff will happen again, but it'll just happen differently because this is the fire apocalypse. But back before the water apocalypse, during the time of magic, when they had those pillars and those beams of light and an amplified energetic atmosphere, right? The gods were all over the place. The quote-unquote gods, okay? The anomalies, the phenomenons, and, all the things, the ghosts, the things that people didn't understand. They wrote about them in their own special ways. They were everywhere. They were all over the place because the atmosphere was energetically amplified. But when those lights disappeared and we went through a polarity shift and those lights were pulled down into the earth, all those gods died. Or they were seen as having died. And then there was one left, the focal point that we see today. People reverted over to sun worship. The ocean will then completely submerge Midgard, the middle garden, the garden of paradise. That's what Midgard means. It means the garden in the middle. The garden in the middle is at the middle of the world at our North Pole. It's Hyperborea. I've written all about this in my brand new book, Return to Hyperborea, which is available on my website if you want to go check it out. available for purchase, I should say. You can also preview it. After the cataclysm, the world will resurface new and fertile, and the surviving gods will meet. Balder, another son of Odin, will be reborn in a new world, according to the Voluspa. The two human survivors, Leif and Leifthosir, will then repopulate the new earth. All right, cool. So check this out. This is very interesting. It doesn't tell you a lot about Leif and Leifthosir. These are the apocalyptic Adam and Eve. They survive by going to Yggdrasil. They hide in the trunk of the tree of life, or the world tree. This is at the axis mundi. This is at the center of the world. They go down into the plasma volcano, Rupus Nigra, Mount Meru, etc., and they're safe there. That's the eye of the world storm. And then they come out, and then they're able to populate the world once more. So that they return to the place where they were created. Okay? Egyptian. All right, let's go over Egyptian eschatology, the end of the world. Egyptian texts typically treat the dissolution of the world as a possibility to be avoided. And for that reason, they do not often describe it in detail. And I also believe that it can be avoided. I also believe it can be coerced, I guess you could say. Okay. And we've been given many, many hints all throughout time as to how to prevent the apocalypse. But we collectively have not listened. And therefore, we will get what we have coming to us. However, many texts allude to the idea that the world, after countless cycles of renewal, is destined to end. This end is described in the passage of the coffin texts, and a more explicit one in the Book of the Dead, in which Atum says that he will one day dissolve the ordered world and return to his primeval inert state within the waters of chaos. All things other than the creator will cease to exist, except for Osiris, who will survive along with him. Now, Osiris lives at the North Pole, does not live in modern-day Egypt. There is an ancient Egypt, which is this place right here, okay? This land right here. There's a portion of this land that was called Egypt, okay? And there's a portion of that land called India. And there's a portion of that land called Ethiopia, etc. Osiris lives here. That's where Osiris lives. He's the foremost of the Westerners. Western meaning the center of the world, where the four corners, the four land masses, as you can see here, right? These are the four corners of the world at the center before it goes down and becomes another world, down into the underworld. That's where Osiris lives. Osiris is represented by a beam of light that has little spokes, I guess you could say, coming off of it, creating like a ladder. That's the spine. That's Osiris's spine. Let's continue on. So Osiris will survive. Details about this eschatological prospect are left unclear, including the fate of the dead who are associated with Osiris. Yet, with the creator God and the God of the renewal together in the waters that gave rise to the orderly world, there is the potential for a new creation to arise in the same manner as the old. Taoism. This one's my favorite. Okay, of all the religions, this is the one I like the best. I love Taoism. Let's check this out. The Taoist faith is not concerned with what came before or after life, knowing only their own being in the Tao. The philosophy is that people come and go, just like mountains, trees, and stars, but Tao will go on forever, time immemorial. That's my favorite one. See how simple that was to say? Analogies in science and philosophy. Oh boy. All right, so now we're going to get into modern academics. This right here is a diagram of how modern academics believe that our world will end with the sun, most likely. A diagram showing the life cycle of the sun. So here's the focal point that they're calling the sun, right? And it starts off, you see how it's yellow? Why are they making the sun yellow? It's white in the sky today. Well, the reason is because it goes through a color spectrum shift. They acknowledge this, but they believe it's going to turn into a red giant. Wrong. It's already been a red giant, right? When it's giant and red, the light is more diffuse and therefore it gets cold and it leads to Fimbulvetr, okay? But when the sun turns into a tiny little blue dot, which is what they have over here, what they call a white dwarf, right? That's the sun today, white, right? When it becomes blue over here, like you can see, then it becomes a point of focus or the light from it becomes very focused. What we call daytime becomes extremely focused, which means it becomes extremely hot and starts to scorch the earth. So they have it correct, actually, on their own weird version of it. They just think it's way out in space and way bigger than it is and stuff. Researchers in future studies and transhumanists investigate how accelerating rate of scientific progress may lead to technological singularity in the future that would profoundly and unpredictably change the course of human history and result in Homo sapiens no longer being the dominant life form on Earth. You're not the dominant life form on Earth. Okay? Time to wake up. There is no dominant... You know what the dominant life form on Earth is? The Earth. Anyways, occasionally the term physical eschatology is applied to the long-term predictions of astrophysics about the future of the Earth and the ultimate fate of the universe. In approximately 6 billion years, which is so far in... There's no such thing as 6 billion years, in my opinion. The sun will turn into a red giant. Life on Earth will become impossible due to a rise of temperature. See, they have it backwards, okay? The red giant sun would actually emit colder light or, lower temperatures. Due to a rise in temperature long before the planet is possibly actually swallowed up by the sun or left charred. They have that part right. The sun is going to char the Earth. Later, the sun will become a white dwarf. It will turn blue. Okay. Let's see. Then that was it, I think. So these are some other things you can check out if you're interested. You can go to this Wikipedia article, and there's lots of, implications and related topics. Ancient Aztec eschatology. So you can check out what the Aztecs thought. Cosmogony. Look at these pictures. These are so cool. A model concerning the origin of the cosmos or the universe. Eschatology, religious movement, the future of Earth, 4 kingdoms of Daniel. Götterdämmerung. There's lots of cool stuff here to check out. Man, I thought we had more. The Whore of Babylon. Oh my God. Anyways, that's pretty much it. I had a blast. Even though we had some trolls tonight, I expected it. Anytime we talk about religion, all the satanic, evil, Luciferian people. Okay. And I use the term Luciferian lightly. Okay. But anyways, lightly. Oh, I get it. Anyways, yeah, I don't mind. I'm actually quite impressed that you guys have had such what seems to be a pretty good chat session. I can't wait for the video to upload. I'm going to go back and read everything you guys have said. I'm excited about it. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you. I hope that I've been able to add to your experience in some small way. That's all. I'm not trying to get you guys to believe in what I believe in, adhere to my perspective, or see things the way I see them or anything. I'm just simply a traveler. I'm walking about. I'm on a walkabout. And I'm riding home. And you guys are my home. I'm riding home and telling you about what I'm experiencing personally, what I see, what I come across, how I interpret things, right? And just like you see here with the puzzle pieces over here, right? What I offer is just my piece of the greater picture, my piece of the puzzle, my breadcrumb as I pick them up and follow the path that leads me back home. All right, until next time, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.
In a time when an ancient cataclysm is about to return, one book holds the key to unlocking the biggest secret in all of history. JayDreamerZ presents Ancient Oblivion, the Plasma Apocalypse. Study it, and you'll discover the very real details behind the reoccurring event that resets civilizations and reshapes the entire world. Bridging the gap between fiction and fact, this book is a must-have for all truth seekers. Then in his second book, you'll learn about the one place of refuge from this world storm. You'll explore the ends of the earth, find the fountain of youth, and envision yourself enveloped in the vapor canopy. In Ancient Oblivion, Return to Hyperborea. Available now. Order direct from JayDreamerZ and receive your very own autographed copy. Go to JayDreamerZ.com for more information on our Ancient Oblivion and the Plasma Apocalypse, and sign up for a free 24-hour cram session with a complimentary day pass. The end is near, so order now before it's too late.
Oh, my bad. Roll the credits. That's the wrong credit.
Ooh.